Mm. Oh, yeah, I think I'm with it. I'm just gonna let it up and I'm gonna drop some smooth lyrics. And you know, it takes a few seconds to officially get all the way up, but I click the appropriate buttons. I'm ready. Let's go. We up. Like I said, for the show. Yeah, August J. Hoping that we ready to go. Yeah, let's go. With a dash of glow into the legacy listeners and all my viewers. What you wanna talk about, Carl? You'll give me. Come on, this comes to the main issue. With the on this show, bring the heat. The word on the street with the girl on the beat. We superb in the beat legacy online. Stepping and out, 30 feet on time. Ain't no half step of a fucking shit. My brother, big ain't. Word to the mother. He been on this grind for a while. I know I'm so smart, brother got style and charisma. On a mission, before court, and listen up. The court stage doesn't talk, run it back. He been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, brother got style and charisma. We on a mission, before court, and listen up. The court stage doesn't talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, August J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street with the Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half step of a Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Like a Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step on Marcus J is live. We are back in the building, ready for another outstanding show as we do at this time. Most weeks. We used to be able to say every single week. Now it's just most weeks. But we're excited. We got a lot to get into. We haven't been on the air in a few weeks, and the news cycle just keeps on churning. We're going to talk about Kanye West, and we're going to talk about Kyrie Irving, and we're going to talk about Dave Chappelle. We're going to talk about cancel culture. We're going to talk about the red wave being more a slight pink. We got a lot to get into. We're going to do a whole lot more than that. And the big question that we're going to ask on tonight's show, starting with the movie Black Panther, and not a breakdown of the movie, but we want to know about Black folks. Do we need a Messiah? Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation. It's the flagship show of Legacy and Net Radio. We call this show Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J, and we are live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you to everybody for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks that are already checked in. One of them being our brother Uncle H is checking in already. He's saying peace from the Mayo. He's saying that all is good. He's just getting himself checked out. I'm glad you are there getting checked out, and we wish you nothing but the best of health and love and hope. And we appreciate you being diligent enough to rock with your family here. We've adopted you as our Uncle H, and we love you, brother, like we love you like our own blood. So we appreciate you, brother. At this time, I go around the room and I get in our usual suspects, and we're down a usual suspect for now. Our sister Steph, you can see her. She's so diligent. She's in the feed, checking in, talking about, I'm on the way. She's on the way, and she'll be here very shortly. But for now, it's just John and I, and I'm so glad to see him. I look across the table, and I see my brother. What it do, homie? How you? First of all, let me turn your mic on. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm on.
I
I'm
almost messed that up.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
How you doing, bro?
I am so much better than most people. I don't know. I'm great.
Are you outstanding?
Extraordinarily so.
Wonderful.
All of that. Whatever words you want to.
All of the positive
Yeah.
adjectives, you all that.
Yeah. I mean,
You
I
heard that?
can't-
You all that.
I can't
Yeah, I did
even.
that.
I can't even.
I'm still corny, y'all.
I can't even begin to think about my situation in comparison to others. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah.
Here's a little humility for you.
It's all right.
Instead of halfway joke, but
It's all right. It's all right.
so much going on in the world, so much stuff going on with people, and like I say, I still look at my life, and I wouldn't switch with nobody else, because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have no idea. Tom Brady broke.
You mentioned that earlier. What's that about? What's the Tom Brady broke thing? What's that about?
He put $650 million in that fraud of a crypto platform.
Yeah.
All gone.
What did it shut down or something?
They were never selling.
There's water over there?
No, I'm all out. I'm gonna get one up.
Okay.
They weren't selling actual coin. They were selling
The tokens?
not even tokens. They were selling like IOUs, like they were selling coins, and it really wasn't coins. And people actually took their real coins and attached them in the platform. So they never gave it any interest. So the money that people started pulling money for whatever reason, and they had to file for bankruptcy. So now whoever had money on that platform, they're just gone. It's just not there. It's just, and they still looking for like $4 billion from somewhere. The guy who manufactured it, he's got money and he's someplace, but the rest of the people.
That's outrageous that money is gone.
But it's not the only.
But it's not money.
But it's not. But see, that's the whole thing. We haven't had money in this country for a long time.
Yeah.
It's all what they call fiat.
Yeah.
And it's make believe, because you can't. There's no physical item to weigh the money against, right? So it's just numbers on a piece of paper. So you get a company like Microsoft, right? Or the largest company in the world or whatever, $1 trillion company, right? If they was to liquidate everything they had, they couldn't get $1 billion. They don't have $1 billion worth of stuff, but they value that over 1,000 billion.
Yeah.
So, it's just numbers on a piece of paper. So he took his real paycheck
And gave it
converted it into crypto and put it on that platform, and now he broke.
I have a hard time feeling sorry for someone in that situation. I'm sure losing all your money is a tragic thing, but
Somebody else too. Was it Kyrie or Odell Beckham? One of them got they pay
Yeah.
crypto.
Yeah, a football player.
Took a loss.
Yeah, I heard about that. I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was, but that sounds familiar. But somehow I don't worry about them. I think they're gonna be all right. Ain't no ass
I would
stepping
hope so.
with Marcus J Live for New Day and Legacy and Radio. We got some love from our family checking in, so let's go ahead and get them all checked in. We got Legacy Internet Radio alumni. My brother, the coach Sean Miz is checking in. Bruh, I see what you doing. And I'm so proud of you. Miz always has his posts in the Legacy and the Radio feed where he sells homes. He's a realtor, and so he does that. So we're proud of him for that. And then he calls a lot of the local VCU games, and so we're excited for him for that. And so, bro, we just got so much love and so much excitement for you. We're also getting some love from our brother Kev Crosley. He's checking in. He said, "Good evening, everyone. Sending love from HBCU Educational Tours and Programs. We appreciate it. Yes, absolutely." Sean Mills says, "I am the voice of sports in Central Virginia." He absolutely is, brother. It is okay for you to post whatever you got going on in our feed so that our brothers and sisters can rock with you and support you. And you're welcome to you, brother. He's saying thank you to us at Legacy Net Radio. You welcome, brother. We love you, and you are us. Peace to one of my favorite people I've ever met and known in my life. When I was born, she was there, and she's been there every day since. I'm talking about my sister, cousin Terry. She's there. She's saying peace to the Legacy family. We appreciate you. That Legacy family is also you. And my sister Monique is checking us out. Monique, she's saying hey to me and hey to the crew.
Hey, cuz.
So much love to you as well. Our conversation sitting at that watering hole, I still remember very fondly. So I appreciate you and your presence and you rocking with us here at this time of the show. As you can see, those folks who are watching can see that we were just blessed with a burst of love here, joining us in her usual perch, sitting to my right,
my perch,
because she is my right hand. She is my sister, your sister, our sister, Steph B. Hey, girl, hey.
My brothers, y'all look good.
Yeah.
Look
Yes,
at you.
he is, because he's letting it grow out like
see
natural.
that.
Thank you.
Look,
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses on, but I can see
I
you
see,
fellas
that's right.
looking good.
Yeah, look at him. There's a
Thank
handsome
you for-
brother over there,
Yeah,
John.
both of you, both of you.
Well,
I needed
I'm
this
alright.
energy tonight.
I'm all right.
Come on now.
Well,
What can I say? With that energy. Don't try it.
I'm gonna start.
I know when I'm in the room with a Gemini, this is you
man.
playing.
Yeah, I am. Oh my God! Can I show them?
Oh my God!
Can I show them?
Put that up
Can
to
I
the
show them?
camera.
All right, look.
Please.
See, I don't always do this, right? This is a picture of John. I don't know if y'all can see this.
Please look, you guys, if you can see it.
If y'all can see that,
Look,
that's
we're
John,
being
y'all.
boomers right now.
Oh, that's John.
You know what, John? Just post it in the comments.
I'm so glad.
You need to download that and just throw it up in the comments.
Yeah, John, that
put
is
it in the
so
comments
cool,
for the
man.
people.
That's so cool. We'll have to figure out how to help them do that.
Yeah, we'll
man.
help. We'll help
That's
in a
so
minute.
awesome. You know, there's nothing in the world better than young. It's the hair. Yeah, it's the
I
hair.
do like the growing out. You know, I think that. So as the woman in the room,
Yes,
I'm all for the beard movement. When I was a younger woman, I was like, no beards, no. Like I just wasn't feeling it. The older I get, the more I'm like, sir, please, yes, keep it and don't cut it. And I like the looks of it. It's very mature, and I love it when it has a little salt and pepper to it.
Well, I don't keep that for long. So,
I
but the beard is just something for me to do.
I know
Right?
men will
Because
be like, it's no shave November.
Y'all just saw a picture. My hair was down my back, right? That left when my daughter was born. That was the end of the hair. So this is all I got. So I need.
He's just doing a little something.
It's something to groom.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have this, what would I do? Just wash my face every morning. That would
throw
be
a little lotion on your head, call it a day.
Yeah,
shine it up.
Yeah, that ain't no fun. So this give me something to play with.
But
a little design.
I do have this thing too. Like if I meet you and you have it, I mean, I kind of get the way men do with women and certain things. Like if she was up wearing makeup when I met her and she was this and that, I want it. If I meet you and you have a beard, that is the face I like. That
Okay.
is the face I'm picking.
So I got to be honest with you, right? For years, right? I just had the mustache and goatee.
I'm good with that
right?
too.
Then I went to the chin strap. And
Oh,
I did the chin strap for years. It was my
the chin strap.
It was my most recent ex who said, "No, we got to get it.
Yeah,
we got to
bring that
in.
line up, bro.
We got to bring it and just let it grow in." So it went from the chin strap to this.
I'm telling you,
And
get a woman.
It was her call. So
see. And and I also I'm the opposite with certain people. If I walked in here, Marcus had a full beard, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like there's just certain people I visualize it with. But I have dated people who like, you want to surprise me with no beard, and I never saw your upper lip like this, and I don't like it now. I don't want it. I don't want you. I want it different.
well, like
Go
I
back
said,
to where
it
we
gives
were.
me a reason to buy like oils and special stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I got combs and razors for it and brushes. And
you fellas get to do
it's just something
your
to
thing
do
to feel good.
You know
and
what's funny?
love up on yourselves.
My older brother has a full beard. My father does not, and I don't. The way my hair grows it's directly from
You're
my
meant
father.
to be a baby face.
I am meant to be a baby face. I'm absolutely
My son is like that.
I am absolutely meant to be a baby face, but so is my dad. Like if you look at just a little straggly way, like mine doesn't grow obviously, but you can see how my little mustache would grow. This is the exact same pattern my father has. You know, and then he'll grow like a little bit. Like the first time I saw my dad with a beard, true story. First time I saw my dad with a beard was during the pandemic. That's the first time. You know what? I'm the chill. And he's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but he's in New Jersey and he can't get to me. He didn't like it at first.
He didn't like his beard.
No, but we all loved it. We was like, "Yo!" And he was like, you know.
So what about now? Is he still?
He's not wearing it now, but he did wear it. He wore it long enough for us to leave him alone about it.
Okay.
You know.
So if it comes back, he don't gotta hear about it.
He ain't gotta never hear about it again. He did it, you know, because when we was growing up, you know, I don't know what my brother and my sister thought about it, but I was like, oh, you don't grow a beard. You know, and he just didn't. I would always watch him shave because I was the kid that would be right in his space while he was trying to do his grooming thing. I'd be right there. You know, especially when he was getting dressed to go to his Masonic meetings. I was definitely like right there. Like, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Right? Yeah. So, you know, mama doesn't have the luxury of watching me shave. Because what you see is all I got.
It's cute.
Yeah, I'm all right.
My
whole
thing with it, I always had to be careful being in Brooklyn because I go real quick from Brother Shabazz to Brother Shalom. Like, real quick. Because this over here gets long, it starts getting curly. I put on
intelligent humor there.
I put on
yes.
You had to be smart to understand.
I put on, let me tell you.
This show is for the smart
for the
people.
Smart people. Yeah, man.
Going to a Masonic meeting, I put that black suit on with a trench coat and a black hat. I'm collecting rent.
You did for real. You're the landlord.
So, y'all gotta understand that from New York.
Owner.
Yeah.
Coach Miz says I fluctuate from beard to goatee in the summer.
I'm okay with like going the back and forth thing. You know what I realized about beards too? Like when you're a woman and you're just observing men, the way men observe women. You guys are visual. It means so much to you to be like, I've had men be like, oh, I like your bow when it's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why is this man why does he think I care?
Yeah.
But
no, and that's the thing. We think we pay that kind of attention because we think you care, and we want y'all to think that we care.
Yeah. And I will tell you, most of the time, what we do is we want our girls to be like, yes, bitch.
Now, see, I've always said that they don't get dressed for us, man. They do that for they do that. Here's the hierarchy. And tell me if I get this wrong. I've always known this. The hierarchy is for herself, depending on her. and for her girls, depending on her.
And
Those
depending
two
on her
flop.
girls. Like if-
Those two flop. We
Yeah.
like at least third.
Yeah, listen, there are things that my girls will compliment me on or say when I walk in the room that a man I might be like my girls will be like, "Boo,
Yeah.
the booty is popping." Like
Yeah.
they love to compliment my booty,
But
and
see,
I'm like,
dudes ain't.
"Yes, sis."
See, but if a dude does it, it's gonna
It's
it's gonna
weird.
instantly dip into weird
Yeah,
territory.
because he
But
don't know
look,
how to limit
but-
it.
but
He-
look-
he
look.
can't just be like, "Your shape looks great in that dress." He gotta go, "Well, damn, man." And
Nah,
you're like,
nah.
okay, now I'm embarrassed.
You got to know the length. See,
Yeah,
having a whole big.
Can't
I got
hide
a
it.
team of girlfriends, the girls, so I know the language to use. Like, you killing that dress.
That's it.
Yeah,
Just tell
you,
me.
you bumping
And now
that.
black
Yeah.
women, we have taken it to another level. We've gone to just okay dress. We are
No.
so stellar.
It's
We don't have
giving-
to give.
It's giving
Oh,
very.
we will say
Yeah.
it's giving, but mostly you know your sister is with you when you walk in and she's like, okay, lashes. Okay. If it says okay and just a noun, that sister is giving you the height of compliment. For me, though, I started realizing that men were very particular about facial hair when beards became more of a trend. Like I started seeing like Beijing to death because it's got to be just outlines and everything else. And other fellas talking about how his beard might be patchy. And I was like, oh, that's a thing for you guys.
But let me tell you where that is, and this is the saddest thing about it, right? We talking about women do it for women, and men do it for women too.
That's right.
No, don't nobody do nothing for men. We
don't need to.
None of what we do. None of what we do in life, from the clothes we buy to the car we drive to none of that has nothing to do with another guy.
It's the tax we pay though for being men.
Right.
Yes.
All
It's
all
the tax.
yeah. No.
It's
Listen.
that's man tax.
Oh no.
I'm good with paying that tax.
It
though.
is what
They
it is.
trade off.
Listen,
I'm
it is
good
what
with
it is, and I think I would like to thank all the beautiful women of the world, because without you all, I would look like Sasquatch, right?
You just
I would
let it
have
go.
all, like
man.
my eyebrows
would come down over your eye.
down over my eyes, and I'd have to read like this,
Oh my God.
like
Well, I'm gonna thank all the beautiful women of the world that
Because-
have given this man any time and attention.
because
Thank you.
I would not.
Oh, that is the
Because
funniest
listen,
thing he's ever said.
there is
ever.
nothing.
He's never said anything funny.
No,
Listen to me.
Really hasn't.
There is nothing that another man could ever say to me
To make
to-
you care
that
to
would
about
hit.
cause
yourself.
to make me care about
That would
anything
hit better.
as far as my appearance is concerned.
That's a
Listen,
real talk.
You are not my friends if you see something wrong with my exterior or you perceive something that could make me better. And you're my girl and you don't tell me, our friendship is questionable.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. It's just I'll say this serious thing, and then we're going to shift. Right? I think men and women, if we have a good relationship, and we strive to have it, I think we've developed a point with the three of us where we're in that space. When you have good relationships with a man as a woman and with a woman as a man, when you get a compliment from that sort of energy, nothing can top it.
I
Whether
agree.
whether you're a man and that's a woman that you rock with or you respect her and she's like, you know what, today's a good day, you look handsome. Or if it's a brother that says to a sister, whether it's his sister or his woman or even his mama,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's something about that love that you get from the other side that makes you feel special inside of you. And I think we should give greater care to doing that without it becoming weird. You know what I
think
mean?
So, yeah.
You know,
I agree with you.
and
Because I love a compliment. No, who doesn't?
yeah,
It's when you take it to
Yeah.
a space of now I'm uncomfortable.
yeah,
And the reason that we do this for our sisterhood is because they don't make it uncomfortable.
yeah.
You know, it was weird the other day, and I'm gonna let you move us forward.
Yeah.
And let us move on.
Yeah.
I was walking my dog. It was super early in the morning. I thought, I was in one of those moments where I was like, in my mind, nobody's gonna see me. And so my locks were out, and I was just like, cute little leggings and a t-shirt. Let's get this dog out. It's freezing. And these two brothers are walking across on the other side of the street. And as I walk, they're walking slower because they're hoping I will become even enough with them that they don't have to break their necks to see what's trailing me. Right. And so Because I know what y'all do.
Yeah.
So I get up a little closer and I'm trying to.
I don't even fake it anymore.
Yeah, they were trying, but they were not
it's
good.
just-
And then
I'll be discreet.
my dog's not cooperating.
Oh no, I will stand still and be like,
I'll be discreet.
you know,
That's what they
I'm
look,
like,
did.
listen,
Hey, look, I'll be
sis,
discreet.
you know what this is.
Disgusting.
I would be
You're
discreet.
disgusting.
You
I
know
won't-
what this
Basis
is.
from
I won't
nature.
make
No,
it weird for you or me.
Well, they were like,
Listen.
we're gonna make this weird because we need to see.
Nah.
I'm not gonna
So
make it
they-
weird.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
gonna just
make it
be
weird.
like,
But you're not
acknowledge
the
you know
deter-
what
you
it
don't
is.
determine what's weird. We do. So
Right.
let me say this.
Fair enough.
So when they stopped walking, and it's a foggy morning in Richmond. There's nobody else out here.
Ballpark the time. 6,
mm,
7, 8.
I would say about like 6:45, 7 a.m.
Got it.
Dusk.
Between there, it's kind of dusk, yeah. And it was before the time change.
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, brothers, don't make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just don't do this for
Yeah.
me right now. Also, I like my presentation. I don't let people just randomly take pictures of me.
Right.
This is difficult for me sometimes because I don't always like to be on camera.
Right.
So I noticed they're just gonna slow down. They just chilling. They gonna chill like they were chilling in the weirdest spot. Like a dumpster for the other building is right there, and they're like, I don't care. We're gonna stay here. And my dog's not cooperating. She sees two dudes. She's like, let me go get pet. I'm like, you know what? So I get.
And it's a lady dog.
She's a lady dog. She's like, hey fellas, and I'm like, no fellas. So I try to avoid them, and I do.
Okay.
But I see them as I've walked ahead of them, getting the lay of the land. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then talking to one another.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stay down here, Stephanie. Chill at the other end of the block. Well, then when it was time for me to go, I'm like, oh, they're gone. Cool. I'm going back to my building. They pop up in a car going 2 miles per hour on a street in Richmond where people don't think there's a speed limit.
Okay, that's too much.
So they slow down and they go, hey, sis, you're beautiful. I'm like, you fuckers. Sorry. like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, y'all okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bruh. Hair not done, makeup not done. Me and the dog. I'm looking like, let me throw this t-shirt on it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you know what you think.
Yeah.
I want to give.
But all I did was look, I'm gonna say this just in case my aunt is looking, who always says I'm not nice enough to people with penises.
You're nice enough to us.
I am all the time. I looked at them and I said, thank you, brothers. And I turned around. And as I turn around, I see their reflection in the door of my building. They are not moving.
Why would they?
They are looking.
Yes.
The one looks at the other. The other goes like, puts his hand over his mouth.
These are kids, man.
No, these men were my age or
Come
these were
on. We still
grown.
doing that.
Yes.
And then they look.
Yeah.
And then they one of them like does this pointing
still
motion,
doing
and I'm
that?
like,
Yes.
I thought to myself, I could have escaped this whole thing if that was 2 chicks.
Yeah, they've been long.
They would have
But let me-
been like, girl,
I'm
yes,
not-
girl, keep it and keep going. It's just the way it's delivered. Like,
Yeah.
had you stopped at, hey sis, you're beautiful, and kept moving, I would have walked away with a moment.
But it would be impossible
too
to.
much.
It's
Yeah.
hard to
It's
move
too much.
behind that because we know what's happening.
I
And we
know.
got it up close now. Before it was at a distance, but now we got to catch the
See?
whole. Come on, but
You
look,
know, this is
terrible.
this is an example of spilling the secrets. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like
but look.
we spilled the secrets.
Yeah.
And there's
But
something
y'all are not secretive enough.
there's
anyway.
something to be said for discretion.
yeah, it's the better part of valor.
Yeah,
But listen,
they were not trying to be.
I want to tell.
Yeah.
I want to tell you and the ladies in the audience something. Men, that outfit that you described,
my bum outfit.
we want that.
Leggings and a
We want
t-shirt.
that more than the done up to death.
Oh well, they're gonna be disappointed.
It's the truth.
We
though.
want. Listen,
I
It's the
know.
truth.
we want
It's
the
truth.
t-shirt, the leggings,
Now-
and the sneakers with the little ankle socks or the flip flops. We want the
I still
hair.
buy
We want a
the-
scarf.
I'm sorry.
Right, that's cool. We want a scarf or just the natural hair, no makeup. We want that. We want to see. We don't want to see
Now, let me-
what we leave in the club with. We want to see what we might wake up
Let me
with.
let me add
That's
something.
what-
They want
that's
in the
what-
house, Stephanie.
let me
Right.
let me add something to that.
Men love that.
Let me add something to that. I
Men
want to know
love
what. Let me add something to that. Let me see what you think about this stuff, and then we will move on.
Mm.
Because the piece that I will add is 100% agree with John. However, I've had conversations with sisters, particularly when we would do the dating, the Diva Diaries, and when we would be in the field and we do the dating pool diva stuff. Love Revolution, and shout out to my sister, one of the original
I
7,
love
dating
Love
pool diva.
Revolution.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. I made that very point, and what was said to me was, "Well, that ain't who y'all be looking at in all y'all videos and all of that kind of stuff." And I think that's a very fair retort. I don't agree with it because I know my truth, but I think it's a very fair retort. What do you think about that?
I think that I've heard it and I've said it, and there is truth to it. That, it's interesting. Earlier today, somebody posted and they were like, another woman is dating Pete Davidson. So Kim Kardashian's ex-boyfriend, who just, you wouldn't picture him with any woman. And most men wouldn't. But men were like, we want to see his resume. We don't understand it. And it was because for the most part, we are telling the truth as women when we say, I want someone who makes me laugh, who is stable, who is good with themselves, who is emotionally blah, blah, blah. We demonstrate that all the time. I've dated the guy with the man boobs and tummy, because he was sweet and because he did certain things. We don't get that visual from men. What they do is, and I've dated the guy with the man boobs and tummy who had group chats with his friends where everybody was booty out, every picture they shared. These are married men and everything else. And it is something that makes women question men because your actions don't follow your language. So you're telling me, yeah, I don't want to see you dressed like this. You're also commenting every time a regular, natural looking woman goes online and is making a comment. Men will come in and tear her visual apart because she's not Kim K to death. So say what you mean and mean what you say. It's absolutely true that men put something out there visually that maybe they do mean it, but you're not reflecting it. And that is so true. And that's the other thing about when women are so looking for a relationship and they feel they have to be in their elevated state all the time. And I call it an elevated state because this is just a pretty girl who took it up a notch. Let's be real. Though it's like a house. If the bones and the foundation are beautiful, all you need is a coat of paint. It just makes it a prettier home.
Right.
You don't take, there's got to be something to work with for the makeup to do the job. I know men, think there's some magical thing happening and the glitter is changing bone structure, but it's, we didn't wake up with glittery gold eyelids. And if you don't,
Unless
you
you on the
deserve to
soaps.
live that way. You
Yeah.
deserve that shock.
Yeah.
But yeah, it absolutely is true that you don't see the natural, or the girl that's just underdone in a man's opinion. I also see men posting pictures going, see, this is what I like. It's natural. And I'm like, she has a full face of makeup.
Yeah.
You don't know what you like.
Yeah.
You don't know.
That's the tough part because you don't know, but
Yeah.
you know what you think you know.
Yeah. Just
Well,
say you like pretty people.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so this is the stage where we say, "Let us move on." Yeah, love's gonna get you.
Mark gonna force us to be corny with him, and we just gonna
You're
do
gonna be
it.
corny.
We are just gonna
with
do
me.
it.
You're gonna. You just. It's just what it is.
I love it.
I am the corniest guy you know.
You're my favorite
And
corny
the
guy.
older I get, John, the more comfortable I am being corny.
I was in the math club. Started playing chess at 9.
We seen your picture from 1985. We know that you know about Cody, man. Yeah. If I show my picture from 1985, you'd be like, yeah, he always been corny.
My whole thing.
We all got corny. We got corny roots.
I had the super thick glasses.
Yeah.
So what I would do is
I still got the super thick glasses.
What I would do is
yeah.
I would talk to a girl and be all in my corn and then just take the glasses off to clean them and give them the look.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's another guy. That's Superman.
Yeah.
And Clark Kent. So yeah.
Ain't no ask Steppin Marcus live from New Den Legacy and Radio. All right, so there's enough stuff going on right now that I'm gonna start it with this, and then we will get into that. And when you listen, you're gonna understand what I just said so much more clear because I know where we're going. I know. We're gonna start with cancel culture.
Oh Lord.
That's where we're gonna start. And I didn't get this from Webster. I didn't get this from Urban Dictionary. I got this from Intuitive Marcus J, understanding the culture and coming up with his own definition. So this is what I think at its purest form cancel culture means. I want to know what it means to y'all. If y'all agree with me, just say, yeah, you got it. And then we're going to talk about some stuff. How that sound to you? John, you good with that?
I'm good with that.
We good with that? All right. So cancel culture to me basically is someone, usually someone famous, because when we talk about culture, we're talking about enough people knowing who the source is that canceling will actually mean something, right? You can cancel, the dude that lives in your cul-de-sac, but don't nobody care that the neighborhood ain't gonna be cooking out in his backyard no more. That ain't cancel culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that ain't cancel culture. But cancel culture is maybe you did something, maybe you said something, maybe you hung out with someone, maybe something from your past came back. All of those things may be reasons that the current consciousness of the people warrants you no longer desirable to favor. I don't fuck with you no more. Because yeah, because that's cancel culture. And judging by you saying that stuff, I think that I kind of nailed it for you.
So.
Yeah. John, am I close for you, bro? You can
no.
add your all right.
No.
You add your caveat or your own definition, even if it's not a caveat. Just
to me, that is what the powers that be would want us to believe it is, but it's absolutely something else. I believe it's buck breaking in 2022.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
This will be interesting.
Because for much greater offenses, the white counterparts are not canceled in the same way with the same vigor and venom as their non-white counterparts.
Let me stop you there, because I think when you say buck breaking, I purposely said cancel culture. Your response sounds to me like you're assuming that only black folks is getting canceled.
No. Black folks are being canceled in a different way.
That's not what we're talking about.
All right. So cancel.
We're not talking about
we're
not talking about the breakdown of how we canceling folks. We talking about cancel. We can get to that.
Right. But I'm saying
we
the
can
way
get to that, but we haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay. Right. They created the dynamic, right? They created the dynamic in such a way that it has the appearance of a thing that isn't racially motivated, right? Because they will, cancel. They say, oh, we're not going to do this person. Like, we're not going to buy their latest whatever, or we're not going to promote their latest whatever, right? And that's cancel culture. Then when they apply that to, like I said, the black counterpart to that, or the black peer to that other person, it is life-changing, ruining, bankrupting, and completely demolishing forever that person. So they use it in a very general aspect of it, but when it comes down to it, black people get canceled a whole lot different, and they make it palatable for blacks to cancel blacks in the same way without true justification. And like I said,
I think when we throw the race card out that early, we minimize the importance of it. Because when it was Dixie Chicks and everybody decided that they wasn't going to rock with the Dixie Chicks, and they had nothing to do with their color. I understand what you're saying.
But the Dixie Chicks survived and profited.
No, they didn't.
They haven't. When's the last time you heard of them?
No.
They
had
have
a
been
recent
canceled.
tour.
Listen.
They had a recent tour, and it way underperformed.
They have been canceled.
No, okay. When they were being canceled, right? They were not. Their bank accounts weren't frozen. Because it wasn't, bro.
But listen.
Their bank accounts weren't frozen.
So we're talking about how people get canceled, or
because they take.
I think that comment has an agenda.
They take you take the tool, right, and you say this is
John.
a tool. Cancel culture is a tool. They take the tool and they
Don't
say
disagree with that part.
they say we're going to use this tool, right? And this is what the tool is used for, right? Cancel culture. This is what we use the tool for, to let this person in the public eye know that we do not appreciate or we do not agree with their stance in a particular situation. So we're no longer going to buy them, or we're no longer going to make them a part of the public field. We are just not going to mess with these people in the public arena. That's what the cancel culture is, right? Now, they take that same tool, and when they use it for black people in the public arena, they make it into something a lot more venomous, a lot more vicious, and at a far more costly outcome when it is applied. And they use it as a tool to make other black people feel like they are actively participating within something that's positive, that's usually really jacked up. And it's just a bad, it's like everything else. It becomes hijacked and used in a different way whenever it comes to black folks. That's all I'm saying.
I understand and I respect what you're saying. I thought it was early to throw the race card in here, simply because of the way it was set up. It's more about when you go against whatever the masses is, and we're not the only ones to do that. Now, we also know that when America catches a cold, we get pneumonia. Everything is worse for us. It just is. We know that. Doesn't make it right, but we know that. Go ahead.
What you said with that, let me backspin this then. Okay. Agree with your initial assessment of the definition, right? I agree with that.
If you would have just said that before you went into your
But
piece,
wait, no,
I
because,
wouldn't have come for you, man.
No, it's not. No, I don't feel like you came for me. I don't feel like you came for me.
Yeah, I felt like it was fair, but I didn't feel like it was a come for me.
But you gave me something to work with.
Okay, let's get it.
How about this, right?
Okay.
If we're going to agree that cancel culture is a tool, right?
Absolutely.
We can all agree
I don't
with that.
disagree with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
as you like to say, hard stop.
Hard stop.
Yes.
Let's say it's
because he can't say it.
Let's say it's a screwdriver, right? And it has, the flippable heads. You could do flat head or this, that, and other. Fine. They used it to screw it in. When they use cancel culture for black people, they turn the handle around and they bang it in. They don't use it as a screwdriver. So the race card is maybe not applicable.
Or the injection of race.
Right.
I'm trying to
not
say race card.
Okay. The injection. It may not be completely applicable, but in my opinion, the way it's misused and abused more when it comes to black people.
Okay. Fair enough. That's an opinion. I'm not going to disagree with it. And I think when we get farther into it, we'll have more to talk about there. But
I'm trying not to get Kanye here.
Come on now.
I'm trying to choose my
First,
words.
they need to give us the money and then test us. Okay, so Marcus, restate the question that you want me to answer so that I do my part here.
Okay.
I understand the definition. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's
I guess your response would be based off of wherever you want to go based on where I described it. It's not a specific question or anything. I just kind of put it on the floor. It was more my intuitive definition of what it is based upon context clues and what I've seen and how just using the words, applying that to our culture. What does cancel culture mean? And to me, cancel culture means, simplifying it from what I said before in more descriptive manner, when you basically don't rock with somebody because of what they did, what they said, not so much on an individual personal basis. When I can't cancel John.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Not by yourself.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So it's
like
a movement.
And with respect to John would have to have a little bit more
clout.
clout or a social standing,
Cachet.
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 Like
Yes.
there are folks here in this town that have been canceled, for a variety of reasons, whether we agree with them or not.
Mhm.
There are folks in this state, in this country, that have been canceled for a variety of reasons, whether we agree with them or not. Things that you have said, done, people you've been with, how you move. If you've got enough of a name where people gonna rock with you, you got enough of a name where people gonna cancel you if
Sure.
the need for them arises. And so how I laid it out that way and before is kind of the backdrop of what I'd like to hear you respond to.
So first of all, it wasn't called called cancel culture. It wasn't termed that way until people got tired of it, right? So initially with the Me Too movement, there was no such thing as cancel culture. It was just terminology that was assigned to it once it became to people a pervasive
A negative.
thing. And cancel culture intentionally is meant to be negative. It's like race card. When you hear a white person use it, it's intentionally meant to insinuate negativity, right? It's like what they've done with woke. In the hands of white MAGA, woke is all of a sudden problematic for us because we don't really allow them to co-opt our language. Woke is it is a state of being that is a necessity. Some people become so woke they need to go to sleep, but we know that when we talk about woke, it is a positive characteristic. So anybody can take anything and turn it into the negative, right? Something that you said that I find about the cancellation of individuals and their clout and where they stand, and that's what you have to understand. For the people who are being canceled, it's because the power that you have was assigned to you by other people. Whether you want to pat yourself on the back, I don't care if you're a local yokel or if you're a national figure. If you are cancelable, it is because your cachet and your clout came from everything else. It's not because sure, you made a movement or two, but the individuals gave you and then they took it away. That's what happened. It's like going from an A player to a B lister, right? And the only difference is, why did you go from A to B? So something you said, Marcus, really stood out to me is the accountability of being canceled. It's something you said, something you did, someone you hung with. It's all of those things. Now, the outcome, what I always tell people is base your behaviors on the outcome you're seeking. I say that to the individuals that I coach as an entrepreneur coach. I say that when I'm consulting in a sales space. You base the behaviors and the foundation of things on what you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to achieve billionaire status or maintain billionaire status, and if you're smart enough, and one of our commenters made a comment that connects to this. You're smart enough to know that you didn't create those billions. The masses created those billions for you. And you don't have significant control over that. You should always know what you control. You control, in the sales world, I always tell people, you control what you say, what you do, who you speak to, and how often you say it. That's the only 4 things you have control over. You don't have control over the response or reaction, but you do have control over how you come back to the response or the reaction. When you are, the terminology is self-made, but you didn't really make the money. The money was given to you for the work that you do. You have to acknowledge you're not the source. You're not the resource. So if you're not the resource, you should be more conscious of the outcomes that can occur from your behaviors, your actions, the words that you say, the things that you do, who you hang with. And you reserve your truth for the people in your inner circle sometimes, right? Or else you sit around holding your pipe in your hand, complaining about being canceled. And the fact is, you were canceled because you forgot that who made you, or you forgot from whence your power comes. and your power is limited. And that's why it looks more like a hammer when it is levied against people of color, because you were not the power source in the first place. As a matter of fact, and I'm sure we'll get into it, I will specifically tell you how Kanye it messed this up and is not the power source. But ultimately, being canceled is a thing because most of the people who are cancelable have resources that are outside of themselves. You and I, sure, we have our jobs and our businesses and things like that, and we protect them because we recognize the resource. You get so big that you forget the resource to the tools that you have. It's easy to go into a cancelable space. Now we could talk about, and I'm happy to address as we move it on, how it impacts one group versus another. But the fact of the matter is, I'll say this final thing, and just my early point, we're all good with cancel culture when it comes against someone that we don't agree with. So if a white man opens up a storefront and he's like, N-word, 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 I don't want to do business with these N-words. Aren't you happy Trump won? So now he could get these N-words and brown people all together. We would want him canceled. We would be holding each other accountable. Brother, you going in that store? Did you know what he said? We would be having those conversations. But when it's something that we agree with or we're good with, then all of a sudden we don't understand cancel culture. You see it on both sides of the aisle, politically. You see it from Black people and white people. What bothers us is what we're willing to connect cancellation to.
I think that I 100% agree with that last point, and I didn't know you were going to make it. And that's what I was getting ready to say. Like, you got to rock with something strong and then not rock with it for it to be cancel culture. Like, I can't cancel Donald Trump.
Never rock.
I ain't never rock with him, so I can't cancel Donald
He
Trump.
didn't exist.
So
in your space.
So John, Coach Miz says I'm with the cancel, and then I asked him, if you don't mind, explain that, and then he responded, you cannot speak against the people that are paying you. If I'm paying you, you can't talk shit about me or my product. Sean continued, as you were speaking, Steph, amen, sis. Now, John, before you jump in here, I'm gonna say this. That's basically what I said when we were talking about Kanye before. It's like, before you were sitting down with these people, and I guess now is the time I'll put Kyrie and Kanye and even Dave Chappelle on the table for discussion. And you know why we're talking about Kanye West. You know why we're talking about Kyrie Irving. And if you watch Saturday Night Live this weekend, you know why we're talking about Dave Chappelle. I'm talking to the listeners now. So just get your comments in now. Now's the time for them. You ain't got to wait for us to say what we got to say. You can drive the conversation. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. If you want to rock with us, we'll roll with y'all. But here's the thing that I said. Like, you sitting down with these people, making all of this money with these people, and you're a billionaire because of the deals that you've made with these people. Now all of a sudden, you have to tell us how terrible these people are.
Cha-ching.
Now all of a sudden, these people are evil, and these people are nefarious, and these people need to be told. We need to tell the people, the Black people, about these evil Jews. You know what I'm saying? The same people who you've been sitting there making all of this money with, that you've been building your billion-dollar empire with. And you got all of these brilliant Black people who are following you and telling those of us who see you and see bullshit, telling us that we don't understand, that we tripping, that Kanye's got a plan, that we don't understand it, and now he's got control, and now we should understand now that he's got control, that he is the smartest one in the room.
We're just all
we
stupid.
just don't,
we don't
get it. We don't get it. We don't get it. And I guess I got to go on a rant. I'm not going to stop because I got to say this, and then I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to be quiet for a minute. It doesn't matter how loud you talk if you're talking bullshit. And there are some folks who have charisma where they speak in a very strong and definitive manner where Other folks, when they see them and they hear them, they are intimidated by their prose. And so now you could be talking bullshit, but it's like, man, you heard what he said?
Okay,
Come on,
preacher.
man. He said that shit.
Preach.
So, and he's preaching, and he's telling you to do your research. And then when you ask him about his research, he gonna tell you to do yours. And I'm telling you tell him,
Turn
like,
my
look,
mic off.
man.
I
He
can't
like,
with you.
look, man, I don't know. You tell me. Tell me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nah, yo, you gotta just do your research. How about that dude don't know what the fuck he talking about either? How about because he speaks loud and he speaks confident, now all of a sudden he's speaking truth.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. We know it's bullshit.
And why would
And
he
when-
sacrifice his money?
Come on, man. And then come on, man.
Come on.
There is a lot of us that's smart enough to know that, right? And you don't get to police how we black. You don't get to tell us how we black. You don't get to tell us because we see certain bullshit in our own people that we not black, that we not strong, that we not authorities. I get so sick and tired of those black folks, but you know what's different about me and them? I'm not qualifying their blackness because I think they full of shit.
Yeah, that has nothing.
I'm not doing that. I'm not qualifying your blackness because I think you full of shit. I just think you full of shit.
You still black.
You still black. You just black and full of shit. And so I'm speaking to the people who want to throw shade at those of us who question Kanye West and the way he's speaking, the way he's moving. We get to question him and still be black. Kyrie Irving is different. Kyrie Irving is completely different.
Yes.
He's similar in the sense that he wants to say what he wants to say and say it with the kind of vigor where he gets to seem smart, right? Because this latest thing with the sharing of the video, that's just one of the Kyrie things. That's not all of the Kyrie things.
He's a flat earther.
Come on. That's one of the Kyrie Irving things. All right, so I guess this means I got to stop my rant because we're getting the caller and we get the caller's priority. But caller, you on the live line. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy and the Radio. Caller, what's your name? What's your comment? What's up, Coach? How you doing, brother? So listen, Coach, I'm gonna tell you this, right? We having some issues with the phone. I thought that we had it resolved and we don't. So this is what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna have you make your comment quick, and then I'm gonna let you go while we try to figure out what's going on with the phone. All right? Go for it.
Nailed it.
My brother, you nailed it. We appreciate you, Coach. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I'm gonna shut the phone down because there's something going on with it. Steph, paraphrase what he said, basically.
He was kind of co-signing on what we're saying. He said you can't talk shit about people, and he didn't use that word, but he really, you can't when you are not the source of all of your funding. He's attaching it to the monetary piece, which is fair because that's what most people have been speaking about. And he's like, it is what it is. You exposed yourself, and he makes a very good point about that.
John, jump in here, man.
Here's my issue. It's not about a right or wrong, right? With anything that you said in that brief rant, Marcus, because what you are saying is correct. However, here's my issue, and this always happens. Kanye never called them nefarious, nor did he ever attach wrongdoing with the fact that they happen to mostly be Jewish people, right? That is something that has been lied about, outright lies, right? People gonna take you take something, you twist the context and you spin it like politicians do, right? And then you make it evil. I heard a conversation with Minister Farrakhan, and he was saying a good spin doctor could make Jesus sound like the devil,
Sure.
right? So what Kanye was saying, and here's the problem I have with Kanye. Kanye should never be given a political platform because he's not a politician. He did not finish college, I don't think, and he damn sure didn't get a poli-sci degree.
I was gonna say he didn't study
Right.
poli-sci when he did drop
Right.
out, so it doesn't matter.
So he's not suited, right? And this goes for all of these armchair wannabe politicians, including all the athletes and everybody else, all the entertainers. Shut up, right? Because
Don't
y'all
agree with
don't.
that. You just told him
wait.
shut up and dribble.
Yeah,
No,
I
You
don't
just
agree.
told
Not
him to
shut.
shut
No,
up.
no.
You told him
Not
to shut up and
shut up.
dribble.
Not shut up and dribble. But do not try to talk about what you don't know about.
Here, we got to debate that. You know why?
Reserve your.
Ain't that what we doing?
No.
That's not what we doing.
No, that's not what we're doing. You know why?
That's exactly what we're
No,
doing.
it's not what we're doing, right? Because the people in this room have enough wherewithal to do our own individual research, nor do we take what other people say for granted as truth. We research it, we find out, we
I
make
think
sure
that's
we
dangerous,
fact
man.
check. Do we fact check?
We
I
do
know.
that.
Listen,
but it's dangerous
Kanye
to
doesn't-
assume that they
listen,
don't.
They don't. They don't.
It's dangerous
they
to
have
assume that.
They have teams of people. Most 99%
You know
of the
that how?
time, when you see an entertainer, athlete, or somebody else speaking out on a subject, maybe not 90, but definitely 90% of the time,
It's dangerous.
they
man.
are repeating something that they heard someplace else, and they don't have the ability. I'm not going to go on a national forum, right? This is a local forum. I'm not going to go on a national forum where I know hundreds of thousands or millions of people are listening to me and offer my opinion against something in a way when I'm not prepared. I'm not at that level of speaker. I'm not at that level of even intellect on the various subject matters. I will speak here because I know my audience. The problem is these people are giving this audience, right? And then they are held accountable. But the reverse of it, the people who are supposed to be accountable with the audience and the education are not being held accountable, who say much worse shit all the time. Kanye did not attach anything negative to being Jewish. What he said was the contracts that people in entertainment, fashion, and sports signed are fashioned by predominantly Jewish people. He did not accuse them of colluding, but what he said is true. Just like if we go to, as Black folks, if we go to a certain event, we don't have to plan that we're going to do something, but if Frankie Beverly and Maze come on, there's probably going to be some electric sliding happening. Nobody sat there and said we was going to do it. It just happens, right? Nobody's saying that the Jews sit up and write down, excuse me, I said the two words you can't supposed to say together.
Nah.
My bad.
Jewish people.
Jewish people are not sitting down writing out nefarious ways to destroy Black people. I don't believe that, right? I do believe that they have an idea in their culture that we're going to do business. We prefer to do business amongst ourselves. And if one of us gets rich, that means 5 of us have to get rich too.
I have no problem with that
I don't
logic.
have a
Right.
problem with that.
Now, Kanye,
But people will be bothered
but
by
here
you
goes the
saying
problem. Kanye doesn't have a problem with it. He said he's envious of it. And what he wants is for Black people to adopt some of those methodologies. And he wants his Jewish counterparts to help him teach Black people how to do that for themselves.
Can I jump in right there
And
for one,
all-
just on that?
Good. I want to finish up. But go ahead.
Absolutely. I only want to say this one part and I'll hop back out. There is a way to introduce an idea or an understanding of something. And the way that you don't do that is the night before you come up with this statement that may not be controversial. Say, I'm going DEFCON 3.
That's
on these
the
people.
point that I was
You
waiting to make.
introduced it.
I was waiting to
You
make that point.
introduced it in a way that made you sound like you were going to be nefarious in your dealings with whatever grouping of people. So if Howard Stern came out and said, tomorrow I'm going DEFCON 3 on black people, and then the very next day he came out and said, black people, your negative net worth in this country is problematic, and you should start looking at your communities and the people who serve you, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's going to immediately, your mind is triggered by what he said the day before. You were waiting on the negative. So I will say that Kanye, this is when you don't have people who are advanced speakers creating speeches.
But that goes back to my thing. The problem is not what Kanye was saying, is the fact that Kanye was saying it and he's not equipped, right? Going DEFCON 3 is not an offensive position, it's a defensive position. And what he was saying for that, right? It is.
I really think you think Kanye thought that out.
You giving him way too much
listen,
credit,
giving him a
man.
whole lot of credit.
I mean, I hear you.
Wait
You're
a
not
minute.
gonna sway me. So
Wait
go
a minute.
ahead, man.
If it's a lie,
I don't think.
wait a
I
minute.
think
Wait
he
a
was
minute.
like, I'm going DEFCON 3.
Yeah, he said what he meant.
Wait. Here's what I'm saying.
It matches so perfectly.
If it's a lie, he told it because he said that's what he meant. He said because he knew that he was going to speak about the contracts and things like that, and that they were going to come for him.
Well, then
and he was fortifying his position. This is what he meant when he said DEFCON 3.
He shouldn't have said it.
Okay, he shouldn't have said it.
How do you know that's
guess
what he meant?
Because he said that's what he meant.
How do you know that's what he meant?
He said it in an interview.
Right, but so what he said is what. So we just.
I don't know. Like I said, if it's a lie, he told it. But I happen to know from a military standpoint, DEFCON 1 through 5 are all defensive postures.
Listen, we understand that, but that's not where he was going. And when people use DEFCON 3 in general terminology, they don't know that.
And
they just take it as
and
this is
again,
a big move.
Let's go back to Kanye is not the person
a lot of grace
to speak on this. I'm not giving him grace.
Listen,
you're giving him a lot of grace.
No, I'm
and
not.
when they get on, they leave the ash for
wait. Stop.
I follow Kanye and what he said.
Wait a minute. I'm not giving Kanye any grace. He dug his own grave and he stepped in the hole he dug for himself. He's not getting any grace from me. But what I'm not.
So technically, he really, based on your initial conversation about cancel culture, he shouldn't be the beneficiary of the feeling you have about cancel culture because he created this almost intentionally. If we're going by what you said earlier about cancel culture and digging in the screws on black people, particularly, I felt like it was going toward black men, but I don't know. Then and yet you're not giving Kanye grace, then we can't associate him with your earlier statement.
No, but
he did this to himself.
Oh no. Listen. Let's go back to what Marcus said. You cannot play in the game that you playing in and then break the rules.
I said pretty much the same thing.
Now, the problem is he broke the rules by telling people who are not in the game that the rules are jacked up and biased against black folk, and that the people who structure the game happen to be predominantly Jewish people. That's not done, right? I watched 50 Cent go through 3 years of negative earnings because he said something sideways about Mitzi. The rules, right? You can't break. You can't. There's certain things.
If you don't make them, you cannot break them.
Right, exactly. So now this is the problem. Again, Kanye gets no grace because come on. He dumb, but he ain't that stupid, right? All of this that came along with him going against the grain.
I think there's also some level of ego where you felt because he also said, I can say this about Adidas and they will not cancel.
He said they cannot.
They cannot. Yes, but they could.
They did, but they broke several laws of contract law when they did it.
Guess what?
They have
attorneys,
right? And they
know what they're doing.
They have attorneys,
who you think's
and
gonna
they
win?
force. Listen, I don't know because guess what? It's gonna be it'll be 4 or 5 years from now, and we'll never hear about
Yeah,
who
but
won.
then at the end of the day, that's a
We're-
loss for Kanye.
Right, but it's Adidas took a bigger loss percentage wise.
Sure,
than he
but you
did.
know
Of course
what?
they
It's
did.
one they're willing
Huh?
to
They
take.
made their point, but you're
But they
right.
made
Right.
their,
But see,
they absolutely
again,
did. But
again, painting, and this is the shit that really gets to me. The spin and the way people paint the picture and the way, unfortunately, that black people absorb that bullshit and run with it, right? We're not going to know the end of this legal battle for a few years. And based on the contracts and the way they were written, Adidas is going to have to pay that man.
you think
Because that's how the contract is. Now they can rally his attorneys he had, and tell them not to represent him, to force him to have to get other representation. But he's going to get other representation because they are going to see the money on the table, and they're going to get their percentage, and they're going to drag it out forever, and it'll be a whole nother form of distraction later on where he gets his money back or some of his money back. But it's no, listen, Adidas did not beat the hell out of Kanye.
Yeah.
That ain't what happened.
No, I agree.
Right?
I agree
So
with that.
the ideology
It
that
was more symbolic of them
Right.
severing their business ties with him over what they perceived as inappropriate behavior towards the people. Let me shift here because
ahead,
we're
go ahead.
getting some social media love, and I want to get them in, and
All right.
I want to keep the conversation going. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. We're getting some love from our sister, the legal eagle, Tamika Robinson is checking us out. She's saying, "Hey y'all,
hi, Mika.
Hey, lawyer.
hey we, hey lawyer, I
Hey,
like
lawyer.
that. That
I
was
like
great.
it.
That was great." And then she just said good morning,
Good
and so
morning,
because
look.
she said good morning, we got to greet her
Oh, love
like
it.
we do every single time. So we're gonna just not even do all the stuff. We're gonna just say it.
Good morning, Sue.
Yeah, ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. John, I'm with you on the spirit of what you're saying. There's certain details I just disagree, but let's keep it going, and perhaps we'll circle back to it. Did you guys watch Saturday Night Live this weekend?
I did.
Did you, John? I did.
Shout out to Peacock. That's one of my favorite apps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like? I watched it. I guess.
I didn't watch it live. I just went to Peacock the next
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I
I
got
didn't
it
watch
on-
the whole thing. I just got the 15-minute monologue and some of Black Star. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah, Black Star.
shout out to
Yo,
Most Def.
I'm
That's
sitting
my
there.
Shout out to
nephew.
I'm
Yasin
sitting
Bey.
there. I'm sitting there looking at that, and I'm
Yasin
saying
Bey,
to
my
myself,
nephew.
I'm bugging.
I got a story, but I
because-
won't share it today.
I got a couple
that,
stories.
that just means we're going to talk about it when these mics go
Mhm.
black.
yeah.
So, but I honestly, I'm not a Saturday Night Live guy. I mean, I just never been a Saturday Night Live guy. But you know, I'm also driven by who's hosting. If there's a host that I rock with, I might pay attention to it. And you know, with Dave Chappelle being on there, I knew it was gonna be some stuff. And then they said that he had an extended monologue. I was like, it's really gonna be some stuff. And I just, you know, Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock are the two most brilliant social commentators of our times, in my opinion. I think they are the heirs to the thrones of folks like George Carlin and Richard Pryor, who were the social commentators of their generations. I have never in my life, and I'm gonna pull Richard Pryor out of this. George Carlin being in my opinion, the greatest social commentator comic I've ever heard. But Dave Chappelle is right freaking there, man. Like he has a way of watching what's going on in the world and saying it in a way that you're gonna get some folks that's gonna laugh their ass off because he just told a joke. But then you got a small percentage of people who's not gonna laugh because they got it more like they were watching a speech or a speech writer or some sort of social orator. And I just think it's brilliant. I just think it's brilliant. And you know, Dave Chappelle is the guy, you know. And so when I watched him, you know, some of the jokes that he told, you know, I don't like to use the word cringe worthy, but I had my moments with them because I got it. I knew where he was going and I thought it was funny, you know, but there's certain things that don't go over so well with the masses, and I wasn't concerned. I didn't care that much, y'all. Let me go back to that. I didn't care that much, but I did wonder, Dave, you gonna get yourself in trouble? You gonna find yourself in the conversation? Are we gonna be talking about you in the same way, fairly or unfairly, the way we're talking about Kanye West? I'm not calling you Ye and Kyrie Irving. Maybe, maybe, you know. And then when we saw the skits, I was like, "Word, you brought back your shit from your show? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Every character.
Yeah,
I still
Ye-
owned it.
yeah."
It was a nod almost to the this is what it looks like when there is no ownership.
Now you know where that came from, though.
Absolutely.
No, do you know why he did that? He did that, and if you read the tea leaves, the writers boycotted him.
He did.
They didn't want to write for Dave Chappelle, so Dave Chappelle was like, you know what?
Chappelle show.
Woo! Yeah. Let me get a couple of comments in, John. I want to know what you think about this, big bro. Huh? Yeah. Well, you go first then, ladies first. Let me get Tamika's comments in, and then Stephen and John. I want you to both comment. I'm putting Mike down because I'm curious to know what y'all think about this. Tamika says, I'm closely watching the Kanye and the contract issues. I bet any amount of money that there is a clause in there for conduct unbecoming. That speaks to what you were saying, John. And unbecoming is unfortunate. And she said she couldn't hear you, so you might have flipped your switch here. So okay, so the battery must have died. So we need to get you. Yeah, the battery must have died. So let's get you some updated batteries. She also says, in other words, if someone does something they believe damages the brand, the contract can terminate. So she's speaking. She's speaking to that. So, all right, John, jump in here.
Yeah, good point. But I think the part of the contract that Kanye's leaning on is certain right to refusal and breaking the contract who owns the intellectual property. And I think he has separate contracts regarding the intellectual property and its use and its exploitation. So them removing him from the brand does not allow them to still exploit his intellectual property. So that's his issue. But with regard to what happened on Saturday Night Live, it was to me just what I was talking about, said by somebody who said it a lot better than I did. He's like, listen, all of this stuff y'all talking about, let's say, he said off the rip, I am against all anti-Semitism and I stand with my Jewish community. And then he went to going on. And he did not say anything negative about Jewish people whatsoever. But when you allow people to create the narrative, there is no safety, right? There is no longer freedom of speech. And this has been a problem since it's been a state of Israel, and maybe even before. You can't operate in the public arena and be absent of critique. And that's what it appears that the Jewish community wants to happen. They want to be able to do whatever it is they do, however it is they do it, without anyone ever calling into question anything that they do in any way that they do it. Because the minute you say, well, listen, when this happened and that happened, why did this turn out this way and not that way? They go, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. You're saying that because I'm Jewish. I didn't even have to say that you're Jewish. I just wanted to know what happened with the con, and automatically it's anti-Semitic. The same thing happened with the book. That book and that thing has been on Amazon for a long time, and it didn't become anti-Semitic until Kyrie reposted the link. Then all of a sudden it became anti-Semitic. Because it wasn't anti-Semitic just sitting on Amazon. Jeff Bezos didn't get no threats and letters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you telling me that you can pull this out your back pocket whenever you get ready, slap me down and ruin my life with it, and I can't offer any opinion. And it's not the movie in the book is not even a opinion or anything having to do with Jewish people in the music industry or entertainment or anything like that. It has
Well,
to
it's
do,
separate stuff.
yeah, it has to
This
do
is
with
where we start.
lineage.
This is where we merge Kanye and Kyrie, and folks get confused with it. I think when it comes to that movie, I don't know the movie. I don't know what it's about, so I'm not going to speak on that piece of it. I agree with what you said, John, when you talked about how whenever we talk about Jewish people in certain instances, even in the course of asking questions, it's often tagged with anti-Semitism unfairly. 100% agree with you on that. There are certain people who just ask questions or tag with it. Fortunately, for some of us, we speak freely and we know our own hearts, and we know that we're not coming for folks nefariously. And so when we ask a question, our conscience is clear in that way. Me.
Listen.
I'm talking about myself here. So when I ask a question, if you take it, whether it's about Jewish people, about white people, about black people, about whomever, if you take it the wrong way, that's how you took it. I know my heart. I know how I meant it. And I think that might be some of what's happening here. I have not been one who has been pro Kanye with some of the stances that he has taken in the past. But in this instant, I think it is very possible that he saw this video or this movie or whatever it was and said, you know what, I think this is cool. Because a lot of us do this. Oh, this is cool. And then share it with people without actually fully investing themselves in understanding what it's about. And there's an Israelite tinge to this video, to this movie, and there are a lot of folks who have issues with that. We had Israelites on the show in the earlier years, and I went to battle with these folks for a lot of the reasons why people are coming for Kyrie. I'll argue with them, and people would marvel at how strong they were when they came in here. They were very strong in their opinions. They're very strong in how they disseminate their opinions. And this is the backdrop of who they are with how Kyrie is being tagged because of who they are and what this video apparently or allegedly purports. Fairly or unfairly, this is what happened to Kyrie. And so when you see him apologize, say, hey, look, my bad, I just shared it, which is essentially what he did. My bad, I just shared it. They came behind all of that, suspended him indefinitely, and laid out a list of things that they needed him to do before he would be able to go back to his usual vocation. Things like apologize to the community, take classes, and some other stuff, donate money, some other stuff, and then report to the owner of his team to show that he understands where he was wrong. Now, again, there have been some things that Kyrie has said that maybe I didn't agree with. I've never been one that was vociferously against the things he has said, but maybe he did and said some things like, I'm not with that. Having said all of that, how they treating him right now is not cool. Not cool at all. They trying to make an example out of him in a situation where there is no example to be warranted because he already said, my bad. And so we live in a country that tells you that when you show contrition and apologize for something you've done, you're supposed to have some sort of understanding and forgiveness. Here he already said, my bad. And they coming for him like this afterwards. For me, that's where I have a problem. Hold on, John. Let's jump in here first. All right,
I
go
just
ahead.
need 1 minute. All of that is true. Here's my only problem, and this goes back to what you said before. We are treating this as if we actually had something to do with any of it. It's all of our intellectual property, our work, our sweat, our blood, right? But we're in control of none of it, right? Even the money that they give us, right? The small piece that they break off for us isn't even ours to control, and they will remind you of that. So it's the equivalent to me of calling a black person a racist. Black person can't be a racist because there's nothing that we can do to oppress other people because we don't have the power. So they're trying to say, not only do you not have the power, but you don't even have the ability to complain, right? Know your place and stick to it. And that's what I'm getting from all of this. And that's what I don't like about it.
What do you think, sir?
I think there's a very firm point in which you either get to prove your stupidity or not. And I think Kyrie aligned with stupidity. I think how he's being treated is unfair. I will tell you, as someone who grew up in a major city with a large Jewish influence, that it is not uncommon to immediately be termed anti-Semitic for any nature of complaint, valid or otherwise. Valid or otherwise. I think you probably know the same thing. I think what Kyrie did was align himself with something that was obtuse. He did not in that moment need to post anything. You already saw the landscape, brother. You had, well, no, yeah, but I'm talking about the doubling down and all the other things that he did. It didn't need to be done. It didn't need to be done. Kyrie's already been on the outskirts of what is, and so that's where I come in as, when you know you're not the resource for the monetary power that you do have, you have a responsibility to protect yourself. You have an accountability to protect yourself. And I think jumping out there acting like you don't know what this really is, this now becomes a Kyrie problem. You've been sidelined before. You've been sidelined before. You've been looked at funny before. People have been questioning you for the better part of 2 to 3 years on some things that you've decided to get out and say. So you have to be willing, if opening your mouth to create the kind of confusion or what have you that you created around how you think or what you think, and once you open your mouth and do that, you have to accept the repercussions. That is a huge part for me, is that you want to be angry, and we want to be angry on his behalf, but you didn't do what was necessary to protect your neck. You didn't do the necessary things to make sure that they couldn't come and remove your financial resource, or you exposed your family. I heard somebody, a white man, the other day. He was going on and on about how, yeah, they've gotten in the way of my ability to feed my family. No, you got in the way of the ability to feed your family. I've heard someone local say that. You made that decision. You had a responsibility to your family, to your loved ones. That is your responsibility. But it also says a lot about ego that you allowed it to get ahead of you. I have often said that certain people are the white people of black people. And here we go with this sense of entitlement that is typically indicative of a privileged society. You allowed your money to make you think that you were a part of a privileged society, and you are not. You are not. I'm not done. You are not. And I'm not going back to I'm not going to bat for Kanye, because when you get on, you leave, they ask for a white girl, yes. So let them stick up for you. It ain't my job. Donda did her part. She departed from here. She raised you up. She did everything she could. I get tired of hearing people say, "Oh, if Donda, it's not my job to save you from being an asshole, whether you're my son or not." You know what you should be saying out of your mouth. You understand these things. We understand You don't have to follow Minister Farrakhan. We understand that blackness is not part of a protected class. We're still politically trying to get these people to say it's not good, it's not fair to lynch us. We're still politically voting on whether or not the language of slavery and enslavement is allowed in constitutions for each state. We already know that blackness is not a protected class. We also know that Judaism is a protected religion, and people of the Israeli nation, not black Israelites, y'all can just go somewhere with that, are protected people. So why would you come out with your conversation and things like that? I think the way that Dave Chappelle did it last Saturday night, and I'll say this: people are gonna hate anything Dave Chappelle has to say because he has views that are contrary to an entire grouping of people, and I don't necessarily agree with his views on that when he talks about trans people and things like that. I think it is problematic and dangerous. However, there was a lot that he said about Kanye that was very true on Saturday Night Live. There was a lot that he said it. And I like that he pointed out that Kyrie is now the beneficiary of that punishment. However, Kyrie had an opportunity to not align himself or tie himself to it, regardless of what is in this video that I'm never going to watch because I don't have time or energy or interest. But regardless of what was in there, once you went beyond that, once you aligned yourself, once you immediately put yourself in the same boat where the people you say have control have an opportunity to flex it. And real power means they didn't have to flex it. The cabal you're trying to say exists didn't have to flex. People flexed for them. A company that was founded by Nazis flexed for the Jewish community. And what we're realizing is, and this is the thing that when I often talk about empowerment as bullshit, that's my entire campaign as a coach and a consultant. Empowerment is a con. It is a con. The only people that buy it, resell it, purchase it, and package it are black people. I've gone to many conferences. I never hear white people in the room talking about, we need to feel empowered to bullshit. They don't need empower means shifting power. Negroes don't have power to shift. Period. So if your business model is I empower women through this beautiful red lipstick, I empower people, bullshit. No, you don't. You're either educating, instilling, you are providing, or you are the source. And you know what? The source spoke and let you know they were only empowering you, Kanye. They were only empowering you, Kyrie. And that empowerment was based on how they felt about you, your statements, where you stand, and all of those things in the moment. So sitting here and debating it back and forth is pointless, because at the end of the day, sure, it could be 4 or 5 years before all of this is resolved. Absolutely. And those 4 or 5 years, what I think you're going to find, one of the greatest power sources, and one of the things that Kanye realized, and I've always said, phenomenal product manager when he's not talking about politics and everything else. I'm a professional salesperson. He's great at the salesmanship of it all. He's also great at selling himself as being obtuse, an asshole, and somebody that you don't want to align with. And the sales pitch worked. And the problem now for Kanye for the next 4 to 5 years is going to be a certain part of a demographic that really aligned with him. White women are now out. They're now out. They now are worried about being seen with them because ultimately they are going to align with the power of white masculinity. And he has offended that. So, yeah, definitely agree with you. It's problematic that Kyrie is being punished for Kanye's sins. It's also problematic that Kyrie didn't protect his neck. And that we don't understand that these people are simply selling you empowerment. And what they're really doing is going, okay, we're going to let you in the room. You got to understand there's a difference between being welcome and accepted. They welcome you because often they need you. They need the base that you bring with it. They need the fact that we make trends pop. poor Black women make trends pop. White women in Hollywood are emulating the girl over at Wickham Court right this minute. Poverty from Black communities makes wealth in white communities. You got to know and you got to understand where the true source is and decide which way you're going to go to protect your neck and decide how far you're going to go. Kanye had an opportunity to not be anti-Black, didn't choose it. Guess what? They didn't cancel him. You know why? Blackness is not protected. It's not part of the protected class. Then you allowed your ego to think you could take it to a protected class of people. We are a country that pays reparations to Jewish people, Jewish community, and Israel in general. We are a Zionist country. We are always going to align ourselves. And we, as a matter of fact, fight so hard to say that Christianity is the foundation of this country so that we can continue to support, protect, and promote the chosen people. It is a part of political society here. And until you're smart enough to understand that, just dribble the ball.
Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. That was what we call mic drop, but they're expensive, so I'm not going to actually do it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio.
I felt like that.
Yeah, we got an elder is checking in, Miss Diana. Thank you, Miss Diana, for checking in. We appreciate you. My sister, she says, back in my time, no disrespect, but when we had less, we did more. Now that folks have more, they do less because they have been brought and paid, not realizing what was being done. And I just saying, I agree with Sean Miz. Coach, she agrees with you. Miss Diana, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Diana. I love when the elders check in.
For checking in, one, and for two, for being spot on the times that you do. And we notice when you're here, and we appreciate when you're here. So thank you for your wisdom. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. All right, so we're gonna get into our final topic of the night. John, I want you to lead us here as we talk about the movie Black Panther, but not as in the movie. I have not seen it, so we're not gonna break down this movie. Talk to me next Monday about that. Hopefully, if the stars align. Say again.
Mama, and you seeing it? Because you know I love your daddy.
I don't have no plans to see it at this moment. Which will speak to what we're going to talk about.
Okay,
you know,
fair enough.
John, I want you on this one first. I suggested a long time ago, and more recently during the Kanye West beginning of this particular controversy with him, that you got a lot of Black folks that are going to feed into his bullshit and want to support his bullshit and want to gaslight those of us who see his bullshit and act like it's not bullshit.
Emphasis on
bullshit. Because we know. And a big part of it is because Black folks need a leader. You know what I'm saying? We just do. We need somebody to stand out and be like, oh, you know, I'm the guy. I speak for all Black people. And we're so starved for that we will plant our wagons behind attractive bullshit. So, John, I want you in on this one first, and I want you to kind of talk to us about what you think. When we think about the movie Black Panther, you know, in the interest of disclosure, this was a topic that you wanted to talk about, and I was so with you because it's necessary and it's spot on how people are behaving behind this movie. Now, I don't want to be the dude that's throwing shade at these people, and I'm not going to be. We always like to be excited. And you know that when it's a time to be extra, ain't nobody gonna be more extra than Black folks. It's just not possible. But years ago when the first one came out, and even now, some of the stuff I'm seeing makes me tilt my head slightly to the side, turn up my lip, and go, really? So with that as the backdrop, John, you got the con.
It's a beautiful transition, piggybacking off of Steph, her elegant way of presenting situation.
I don't even have to sleep with people in this room to get love. I appreciate it.
The illusion.
Can you just...
this is what it comes down to for me. The illusion Black folk,
Mhm.
black folk, this is still the United States of America, right? Slavery is still real. It's just packaged differently, right? Now, there are avenues and ways for you to live not as a slave, right? But please do not begin to believe that you have rights or freedoms because you don't. Anything you think you have the right to and anything you feel you have the freedom to do, you will be completely reminded swiftly that you do not. So, like I usually say in my rant, I'll say it now, shut up. Just do it. Just make the life that you want to live for yourself and for your family and do it. Now, just to understand how pathetic our community is when it comes to leadership and just the idea of someone to wave our flag, Black people are willing to take a fictional character and create a real life champion. Okay? There is no Wakanda, right? There is no heart-shaped herb or Black Panther, right? But people are so attached. They are so attached that I saw the movie. 80% of the movie, there was not a dry eye in the theater. Right? These people were crying real tears about fictional characters. Now, there is a difference because we lost Chadwick Boseman, right? But he was not T'Challa, the Black Panther. He wasn't James Brown. He wasn't Jackie Robinson. He wasn't Thurgood Marshall. These are characters that he played as an actor, right? Denzel wasn't the dirty cop, right? It just, and we spoke about this earlier in private, Marcus and I. Amari Chadwick, is that his name? Amari Hardwick is not Ghost. He's not a gangster drug dealer from Queens, and he doesn't own a nightclub.
And he ain't married to Tasha. He got white.
Right.
He get mad at you when you say something about his white wife.
Yes,
Listen,
sir.
listen.
Fight hard.
Yeah,
Listen,
well.
I'm not even gonna
I'm
go there
sorry. No, I'm not sorry.
on the
I'm
bruh.
not sorry. I almost said I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna go there on the bruh. It's too easy. The fruit is too low.
Yeah, it's too easy.
It is.
But what I'm
It's too easy.
saying,
It's too easy.
But I did
is,
my job.
Yeah.
listen to me. What I'm saying is that bruh ain't gangster. He has
Fine,
never
though.
shot anybody.
He fine, y'all.
He graduated from college. He had a small stint in the NFL. Played for about 2 days. Right? And he's an actor. Right? He's a good actor because he got you all thinking that he walks with a pistol.
Shower scenes.
Right? How about this? Tommy ain't never canceled Christmas. He's an actor.
Yes.
Right? We are so caught up in the idea of having someone or having something to follow, right? That we will create this illusion. And it's sad and it's counterproductive because all you need to do is follow your own mind, right? Understand your own personal individual responsibilities, right? Shut up and do what you need to do.
We've
Right?
been waiting.
Because listen, if you tell people what you're trying to do and you know that the people don't want you to do it, then you must not really want to do it because they're going to stop you. Just shh. Just earn more money next week than you did last week. Right? Have something, create some generational wealth for your family. Make sure that your children don't have to go through the things that you went through. Read up on self-actualization, right? We don't need a protest. We don't need a movement. We don't need a slogan. Black Lives Matter, yeah. No, they don't. Not in America, they don't. They only matter because the Black community as a nation is the 12th largest economic nation on the planet. Black people in America make more money, spend more money, create more money, and have more money than Germany. Right? We without us in the country, America falls out of the top 5 nations, out of the top 10. Right? We are the economy. We dictate policy through our action, but we have no control. The only thing that we can control is ourselves, and we need to stick with that. Right? The movie was a good movie. I'm not saying don't go see the movie, but come on, people.
I agree.
Angela Bassett's still alive.
I agree with what you're saying. The spirit of what you're saying.
Don't spoil it.
No. He's not going to do
He
that.
just did.
Well,
No,
it's
not
Angela
really.
Bassett. That wasn't no spoiler. We know Angela Bassett is bad. Like, it was spoilers that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Marcus missed it, and I'm glad.
all
Keep
good.
going. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, tell me later. I usually be missing shit. I ain't gonna lie, but I stand by what it's Angela Bassett. It's Angela Bassett. But no,
No, go ahead.
I agree, John, and I'm glad that you brought this topic to us because it's a trend and it's a caveat, man. It's a catch-22 because the way we are in this country, the way we're treated in this country, the way we are isolated in this country, the way our participation socially and the way our oppression socially has played into it is created like this situation where many of us don't know where we stand, and it's difficult. Sue said we do need a leader. Kanye ain't it. And I agree with half of that statement. The half that I agree with is Kanye ain't it. I don't necessarily agree with the part where we need a leader because that's the way we used to think. That's the way we used to be. When you look at the previous generation, our parents' generation and their parents' generation, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and beyond, like we needed a leader then, but after they were murdered by the United States government, everybody that came after them decided, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to let that happen to me. And every single civil rights leader after them was rich. You're not going to tell me that. And the first one after that was Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Now, I got love for both of them. I'm not saying any of this because I'm meaning to throw shade, but they figured out how to not get assassinated and how to accumulate money
and get rich
and get money. You know what I'm saying? And so is that really who you want as your leader? I don't want that as my leader. I would much rather have a grassroots personality come along and just do what that person does and inspire other people. If you call that a leader, then so be it. John's a leader. Steph's a leader. I'm a leader.
By example.
Just don't be a fucking asshole and draw people downward. You're a leader. You know what I'm saying? So it's frustrating for me because I'm seeing so many people. First of all, in our general age group, like we middle-aged people. It sounds weird to say it. It is what it is. When we were young, we heard middle age. It was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now we're middle aged. So what? So be it. Right? We see middle aged people. We finally get to a point where we understand certain things. So we can look at what's going on around us like, man, that ain't for me. That ain't for me. And needing to have a rapper be canceled before I understand what's going on around me, that ain't for me. It ain't for me. We started this whole conversation, this part of the conversation about cancel culture, right? Just because you got a microphone and a platform, present company included, don't mean you're important. Don't mean that you got anything more important to say than anybody else. You just haven't had the technology where people is rocking with you. Now, if you're saying something worth being heard, then hopefully it'll catch on and you'll catch the right person. Tupac once said, I may not be the one, I'm paraphrasing, but I promise you I'm going to spark the one.
He did.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I move. That's how I feel like I move. That's how I want to be seen. Maybe it ain't me. Probably ain't. At my age, it'll be 50 soon. When's the last time you seen a 50-year-old leader whose name wasn't Barack Obama, who's just getting started? You know what I'm saying? So maybe we gonna spark somebody, but we not gonna be trying to spark off of bullshit. Shouldn't it be off of positivity? Shouldn't it be off of, all right, you know what? Life is hard enough. Let's not make it harder for other people by talking about people, particularly the people who we just made money with, who we just became a billionaire with. You know what I'm saying? That's where you lose me. That's who you want to tag as your messiah. You want to tag a comic book hero as your messiah. You want to look around and say Black Panther is all we got. We're going to Wakanda, so we're going to wear kente and go to the movies. Why don't you take that energy and do something with it? Now, I can't tell you what you should do, but the energy that we have seen, all of us, from when the first one came out through the passing of Chadwick Boseman to the present, the energy that we have seen behind celebrating this fictional character in the Marvel theatrical, the cinema, MCU. Thank you. I wanted to say it officially to make a point. In the MCU, this is what we got, y'all. For real, we got a dude that wears a mask with cat ears in a fictional country. That's what we got. That's what we got. That's all we got. Barack Obama and Black Panther. That's all we got. And Kanye West. Because Kanye got it figured out. Because he's so smart.
He's smart. He's a genius.
He's a genius. Because he got control of his own stuff now.
Canceled himself.
He canceled himself. He got a control of
you
himself.
can do it.
You know what I'm saying? He's smart. Like, come on, man. How about the person in your own neighborhood that carpools all the kids to school? How about the person in your neighborhood that built a garden where there was nothing but concrete and dirt before? How about the person that's a doula who's giving birth, helping give birth to all the babies in your hood?
Shout out Dana.
We know so many doulas, and so much love to all of the doulas.
The person that shows up to the council
The person
meeting
that shows up to the council
is
meeting,
5 people in the audience,
and
and Miss Jenkins is there every meeting.
and she asks at least one important question, sits down, and don't say nothing
Or
after.
shows up at the school board meetings and
School
has no
board
children
meeting, city
Ain't got no
council.
in
kids.
the area.
No kids. Ran for local office at 50 years old because they got tired of seeing the bullshit.
Yeah.
How about we see them people as leaders?
I do want to say, I believe that Black people are owed an opportunity to see something other than trauma in the theaters or in our entertainment, to see themselves reflected in a way that looks positive and bold and engaging and everything else. But I absolutely do agree with you that should not sidetrack us from the mission at hand, the things that impact us on a day-to-day basis. Because Black Panther came out and we celebrated. I got cute for my date night to see the movie. I had a good time, not this time, but the last time. And then it went away. And to both of your points, there are individuals and opportunities in your community to have sustained and ongoing joy and experiences that build us. What we're doing, we go to that theater, it's momentary. It's like empowerment. It's conning you into believing that something is greater and bigger, and there is no vibranium, as John said. It's not there. But there is intellectual vibranium in our communities that we are not sharing, co-signing on. The same level of hype we put into encouraging these movie stars and the directors like Ryan Coogler and everything else. There are a lot of times when that opportunity is right there in your community and you won't hype it up because it's not you. You won't hype it up because you're too concerned about someone within your community having more, being more, doing better, being more influential, having more money, whatever that thing is. So what I would challenge is when you leave that theater or while you're sitting in there and you are in that moment experiencing that hype and that feeling, remember that you can recreate that in your own community. You can hype the people up in your own community that are doing things to experience that same level of elevated lift, that same level of elevated passion for who we are and what we do. And I love the franchise. I think it's great. And I do, again, think that Black people deserve respite from trauma. We
Yeah.
see a lot of trauma, Fruitvale Station and everything else. We live with a lot of trauma that is, as seen on TV, where we have become our theater reflection and our small screen reflection is often based on what is happening in real life. Our theater is Law and Order these days, ripped from the headlines.
Yeah.
So we do deserve respite. We just don't need to walk out of the theater in a mental respite like that is the lives we are living, because it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I Steph Marcus Shay live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. All right, so this is where we shift towards the final vestiges of our show tonight. And wow, okay, so we just got a hit. We just got a hit from a brother I went to elementary school with, who I literally haven't seen since 1988. And my brother Dennis is checking us out, and he said, "My brother, I miss you, man. It is so good to touch on someone from Fred W. Martin School,
Mm.
PS number 41." And the irony of that is, me living and breathing in Richmond, Virginia for the last 30 years. It's not often that I get home to Jersey City, but I was there this weekend and I drove past Fred W. Martin number 41 school, where you and I walked the halls, brother, together. And the irony of you joining us here tonight by sharing your love for me and our team is touching. So thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for rocking, and peace to your family. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. All right, so let's get into this moments in Black history, our missing children. Then we're gonna do our rants. We're gonna close. Then we're gonna go home and hopefully enjoy the rest of our week. So in 2010, let's start there. Former police officer James Bernard Fowler pleads guilty to the 1965 murder of civil rights activist Jimmy Lee Jackson in Marion, Alabama, and is sentenced to 6 months in jail. Killed somebody, went to jail, not prison, jail for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. 2015, despite public outrage over Texas history textbooks that depicted enslaved people as workers from Africa, state lawmakers reject proposal to require the textbooks be fact checked. So yeah, let's change that shit. Let's put in whatever we
Sickening.
want. We're not gonna say the N word no more. We're gonna soften how white people fucked with us over history. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It's what it is. Someone call me and dispute it. It's what it is.
Can't.
It's what it is. And what do they call it? Indentured service.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like not slaves, not people who you beat to death for
Not
not
enslaved
doing your
people.
bidding. You know, not people because at least indentured servant knew that it was going to be only a finite amount of time,
Right.
and they might have gotten paid, maybe depending on what history book you read. You know what I'm saying? But slaves, you going to change what definition of what slaves is in your textbooks? We ain't going to fact check it. This is why we do the moment in Black History every week.
I mean,
We
maybe
want to
it wasn't
remind
planned,
y'all.
but they were eventually free.
Yeah, eventually. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And what was it? One of the states just removed slavery from their books last
and
week.
3 of them kept
yeah,
it.
but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it was a state that it came down to the wire, and there was people that said no,
Louisiana.
that said no. Yeah,
and
okay.
Mississippi.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, hey, look, hippie Marcus is still a freaking Gemini. God damn it, I said it. And here's the last one. Moment in Black History, John, Steph. Last moment in Black History happened in 1960 this week because she was escorted by the United States Marshals.
Ruby.
She was 6 years old. She integrated the William France Elementary School in New Orleans as the show where we rant, where we close. I'll just say this. If she was 6 years old in 1960, that means that today she's 68 years old. Is that math right? 68 years old. I got 2 parents older than that. I got 2 parents older than that. And so if we're talking
I got
someone,
brothers and sisters older.
You got brothers
They're
and
not
sisters.
here no more, but
mathematically, yeah. So John's got siblings. I got parents that are young, that are older than that. And y'all wonder why we come on here with an attitude, mad, and you look at Black folks and you wonder why we be mad about stuff. Like I am no longer interested in hiding how angry I am about stuff. If you want to call me the angry Black man, I will say, huh? That's how
It is what it
yeah,
is.
it is what it is. We need to own it. You know what I'm saying? And until we do, we will continue succumbing to cultural conditioning that is laid out by white supremacy. You'll never get me as a man in this day and age have shade for individual groups of people because I understand that it's good and all. There are groups that look at Black folks all with the same broad brush and think that we are all whatever they think we are all. And I know what that feels like. I know how much fallacy is in that kind of logic. I'm not okay with it. I'm not going to be okay with it for us. I'm not going to be okay with it for anybody else. But what I will talk to you about is systems. The system of white supremacy. A lot of times when we want to talk about the Jews, we're dealing with a system of white supremacy that oppresses everything. This system of white supremacy is going to oppress white people. Why? Because they poor. They poor and they function like Black people because they poor. And that's a problem. And that's a problem that we all need to deal with. That's why I do these moments in Black history, to remind you and to remind us that we ain't crazy. We know what the hell we talking about. It's history to this. And you know how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Last comment that we'll get in before we shift to our rants and our closings. John, you'll have the con first. We're getting a hit from the inspiration of Legacy Internet Radio, one of my favorite people in the world, my brother, your brother, Jay Grizzy. He's saying peace.
Gonna be
He's saying peace. 2 fingers. He's saying Taking No Shorts podcast is coming soon, extending an invite to the entire Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. crew.
We'll be there.
I can tell you how real this is. I've been in his studio. I have been in his space. I know where he's recording, and I have already taped my appearance.
Oh.
And so I know how real it is. I am so proud of this man. I'm so proud of this brother. It is because of him that we're here, and we look forward to seeing what he does going forward and beyond. My brother and yours, the inspiration of Legacy in that radio, Jay Grizzy Grid. Ain't no high step Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. All right, John, you have the con. Oh my goodness.
You really did.
I almost didn't. Yeah, here I am rushing through the show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Hey, look, I got 4 of them tonight. Almost forgot 4 babies. But this is why
Charge
we're
your head, not your heart. Because I know
absolutely
where you stand.
absolutely, and this is why we're a team. All right, so listen, let's get it in. Thank you, John. Thank you for backing up your brother. Let's look for Kimani Childs. She's been missing since November 6th, right here in the Cap, Richmond, Virginia. She's 14. She's 5'3", 160. Last seen wearing blue and black Nike hoodie, blue jeans, black and blue Nike Air Jordans. She requires medical medication, and may be in the need of medical attention. If you have seen Kimani Childs, please contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. We're also looking for Denard Carrington, also missing from the Cap, Richmond, Virginia, capital city, since November 11th. Denard Carrington Jr. is a 14-year-old black male who stands 5'2", weighing 190 pounds. Last seen wearing khaki pants, black polo shorts, black and gray Jordan sneakers. He's got scruffy afro haircut. Was last seen heading towards Mechanicsville Turnpike. If you've seen Denard Carrington Jr., please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. We're moving to Henrico County, also part of the greater Richmond, Virginia area, part of the Cap. Keyshawn Custis, missing since November 11th. He's a 16-year-old black male who stands 5'3", weighs 125 pounds. He likes wearing black clothing. Man of my own heart. Last seen wearing a black hoodie, sweatshirt, red shoes, and a black backpack. If you've seen Keyshawn Custis, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. Lastly, rounding it out in the southern portion of our capital city, greater Richmond, Virginia area. He's been missing since yesterday, November 13th. Chesterfield 14-year-old teen by the name of Brendan Jones. He stands 5'2", weighs 120 pounds. He was last seen wearing a black sweater, black pants, black Crocs. I got on black Crocs right now. I feel connected to these babies, y'all. He's got a mole on the front of his neck. If you have seen Brendan Jones, please contact the Chesterfield County Police Department at 804-748-1251. So let's recap. We're looking for Kimani Childs. We're looking for Denard Carrington Jr. We're looking for Keyshawn Custis. We're looking for Brendan Jones. If you've seen any of them, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Let's find our babies, y'all. Let's find our babies. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in the radio. All right. Is it time now? Is it time now? Can I pass the con?
Pass the con.
Pass the con. All right. Thank you, John, for backing me up as you always do. I love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I rocks with you, brother. Give us your drop the mic moment.
Y'all may need to hold on.
Okay.
If you're listening at home, you may need to sit down.
Okay.
because I'm about to go in a little bit.
I got bedtime.
I'm about to go in a little bit. I'm not going to take long, but it's going to be impactful. I'm going to share something with the audience and with my team here. Share some with the team and with the audience that most people who know me don't know. Right? I am the most Jewish person you will ever meet. And I'll explain that. Right? I am about 50-50. I'm Ashkenazi, right? And I'm African. It's my genetics says. My African genetics takes me to a certain tribe in Africa that are the oldest practicing Hebrew people. And it also gives me the rabbi gene, the priest gene. It changes my lineage to Aaron. And my Ashkenazi lineage speaks for itself. It's Ashkenazi. So anybody who, I observed the Sabbath, read the Torah, the Talmud, and the Kabbalah. So step to me at your own risk. I'm just going to make a couple of points, and I'm going to leave this thing alone. People are people. There are no races. Race is a construct used to minimalize people so that the people in power and wealthy, who are the vast minority, the true minority, stay in power. I think I say something like this every week that we broadcast. 1% of the world controls 90% of the resources. The other 99% of us who are not the 1% have to fight over 10% of the world's resources. That is an evil thing. This is an evil world we live in. Now, these are some points. Holocaust was horrible. Hitler was an extraordinarily evil, twisted individual who did horrible things to people for no reason. It is said that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. But Hitler didn't just hate Jews, he hated black people too. And although they will not give you a specific number based on who was alive and then who wasn't during the approximate 6 years of the active Holocaust, about 1 million black people died and were murdered in the Holocaust, as well as the 6 million Jews. The transatlantic slave trade, even before it was the transatlantic slave trade, took over 100 million people from Africa and brought them into the Caribbean and South America mostly. Only about 100,000 made it to North America. But that's not the full extent of it, because about another 100 million or so were murdered before there was even a transatlantic slave trade. Because when the people who came over found people in the Caribbean and South America, they found black people. They described them as Negro. Even in some of the diaries and memoirs, they say they met Ethiopians. They said they met other different tribes from Africa when they saw, because the people had similar headdress, people spoke similar language, and they looked like the people in Africa who they already knew. This is documented fact. It's not my opinion. Right? So, hundreds of millions of black people exclusively were murdered over 150-year period, and then continuous after that for another 250 years were murdered, raped, simply because of the color of their skin. There is no escape. I have seen people who are Jewish behave and perform and act like Italians, like Irish, like all other kinds of things, right? No black person can ever not be black. The color of the skin is the defining mark which dictates your murder. So understand that. Although other people have been enslaved before, there has never been chattel slavery that is passed down generationally before the United States of America. It's an original idea. It was created here for the specific reason of hurting black people. Back to the Holocaust. I'm pretty sure, and I say this with as much certainty if I said anything, there were no black people in the Nazi movement. There were no black Nazi officers, and there were no black people who performed work for the Nazis during the Holocaust. But there were about 1 million murdered in the Holocaust. In the transatlantic slave trade and in the preceding function that facilitated the transatlantic slave trade, my people, Ashkenazi, owned the majority of the slave ships. They sold the majority of the slaves on the slave trade block. They controlled the cotton industry from the lower South, not in the tobacco area where we are here in Virginia, but in the lower South where they grew cotton, where they shipped the cotton to other Ashkenazis in New York City. These are facts. This is documented history. It's not my opinion. The Ashkenazis, my people, Jewish people, participated heavy in the enslavement, murder, and degradation of black-skinned people. But not one Jewish person was ever sold as a slave in the Americas or the Caribbean, nor were murdered as a slave in the Caribbean or in America. So, with that being said, not an opinion, all facts, we need to have a level of understanding when we have discourse to see the disproportionate effect of atrocity on people so that we can compartmentalize and understand there's levels to this shit. Right? There's levels to this shit. I don't have a problem with people who speak Yiddish. But I do have a problem with people who speak Yiddish and want people to believe they're speaking Hebrew. Just like I have a problem with people who speak Hebrew and would have people believe that they're speaking Aramaic. Right? All of these things have their own separate definitions and they belong to themselves independently. And when we try to cross-reference and try to make assignments for people to try to deceive people so that we can have an unfathomable advantage in any way, that is evil. There is nothing that I would rather see than every single individual in this world have as much as they can achieve on their own. Right? I wish no one to suffer a loss of any kind if I had my way. However, when you do something and before you do it, while you're doing it, and after it's done, you know that it is wrong. You know that it should not have been done that way. You know that you have taken advantage of another person. You are by definition an evil individual. And that trait does not sit solely or more in one group of people than another. However, the ability to exercise and exploit that nature is far more prominent in people who are not black skin colored. I say all of this to say, think about shit a little bit. Know about what you're talking about. The Kanyes and all the other people. Stop the lizard people bullshit. Stop the flat earth bullshit. Stop all and listen, all of you religious people, all of you Santa Claus praying to ass people, y'all all need to take a back seat and a pause. Let's deal with factual, scientific, provable information and save all the rest of the bullshit. In the meantime, work hard, make some money, take care of your family, mind your business. That's it.
Work hard, mind your business. I mean, I took more than that, but I like that last part, how you closed it out, because that can apply to everybody. I appreciate you, bro. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio, Steph. B. It's always better when you're here, man. Like as soon as you walk down, I was like, cool. It's not just John.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I felt the same way. It ain't just me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Steph B, man. You so awesome, man. We love you, man. We appreciate you, and it's time for you to take time with your own closing.
all right.
What you got, my sister?
First of all, thank you, brothers. I said it when I came in. I'll say it on the way out the door. It's always good to be with you. You're both looking good, looking lovely.
I look better than him, though.
I don't choose favorites.
Significantly.
Oh man,
Like,
you just fell on the
You
sword
stole
quick,
it.
right?
It
You know what I mean? Trying to fight. You don't want to
Look,
fight.
he said he living a good life. He's not fighting.
He try to fight.
Look, I always tell y'all I'm the dumbest person I know, and I plan to keep it that
I
way.
can dig it.
Hey,
Whenever I
sometimes.
don't never want to be the smartest one in the room.
I can dig it, brother.
Yes.
Ain't no
And I
hashtag
dig
Marcus
that
J.
about you too. I come here every time we're together. I learn or hear something new. A mindset is challenged. Is an opportunity to agree or disagree in a respectful space. And I appreciate that from both of you. I appreciate your varying viewpoints and the education that you bring to the table. Thank you, John, for your rant tonight. I look forward to yours, Marcus. My rant is about collaboration. And I find it to be the easiest way that we can defeat the mechanisms that work against our communities. It's collaboration, something that we tend to be afraid of, it seems. I was reading a thread the other day, and it was by a woman who called herself a person of color, and she was talking about how corporate systems work against people of color internally, and then will even weaponize people of color against one another so that they don't grow or have an experience that is positive, and so on and so forth. And when you extrapolate that out, it significantly, to your point earlier, Marcus, about when they catch a cold, we catch the flu. I had to point out to her that the reason that statement, I can't stand with that statement from a people of color perspective, is that as a Black woman, we often are the most underrepresented, and then we are weaponized one against one another. And then people of color separately, who have the privilege of saying, I'm not Black, weaponize against Black people so that they can be perceived as white, or be perceived as a part of a community that's not Black, which is more important. And so her blanket statement, oh, people of color, we all struggle, and so on and so forth. I have been in a space as the only Black woman and watched quote unquote people of color weaponized against me because it was safer and it felt better to collaborate with the powers in the room. And so my challenge to Black people today is to learn about the art of collaboration and don't allow fear to get in the way of that. We often have a fear of recommending someone for a job. I've heard it said time and time again within our communities. I don't know. I don't want to risk making a referral because I don't want that person to make me look bad, because what we've done is ascribe to and become more comfortable with the fact that we get painted with a broad brush. And instead of fighting that, we then go, I'm going to allow that trope to remain. I'm going to allow them to say that Steph represents Nick and Nick represents this one and all the Black women are one, rather than saying we're not a monolith. We come into spaces and we function independently, just like everyone else in these workspaces. We don't do that. We go, I'm afraid to get painted along with her or her or her. So I'm just not going to refer. And then the corporate space remains limited. And we look around and we continue to be a minority in a space where we are accepted legally, but not welcomed. Or I should say, welcomed legally, but not accepted. And so it becomes a necessity to ask not why we don't collaborate. We don't collaborate out of fear, but what not collaborating does to our communities. And so if you look statistically, when when Kanye started speaking about the Jewish community and how they collaborate, which is really what he's talking about, is their ability to collaborate with one another, to commiserate with each other when in pain. We've stopped doing those two things. We do not collaborate because we're afraid to be seen as a unit, because we believe the negative tropes that people are putting out about us. So God forbid that I seem like him or her. I want to be the good Black. So I don't collaborate. And then when we stop collaborating, we stop commiserating. We stop understanding. I stop understanding John or Marcus's pain, because understanding their pain forces me to be collaborative with them. It forces me to see beyond the pain and work toward resolution and to hear. And those two things are keeping us from growing as a community. We think that collaborating with people who don't look like us simply because they are the resource to the power, or the power that creates the resource, is going to make us better. But what we've experienced through Kanye is he has separated himself for so long. He's become anti-collaborist as it relates to Black people. And where he stopped collaborating, he stopped commiserating. So then he comes in and says, oh, Black people chose slavery. Because he no longer, since he was attached to the dollar and the collaboration of the white dollar, he no longer could commiserate with Blackness. He no longer could see that the struggle is mutual and real, because he felt he was elevated beyond it. And so for you, Black entrepreneurs and Black business owners and Black professionals and Black parents and Black politicos, there is a need to collaborate that will not occur if you don't commiserate, if you don't sit down with one another and hear why the problem exists, why so-and-so is not doing better. And on the same token, when you stop commiserating, it's very hard to see collaboration as a necessity. And then you do the work of the oppressor for them. They have no need to really work that hard. I will challenge anyone who says anything otherwise. I promise you, white people think less about you than you think about them. You're adjusting how you move in society with your own people because you are concerned about how those people perceive you. People who really are not thinking about you, because you are not a resource until you are a workhorse. And then when you come in the space as a workhorse, they make sure that you are merely merely an exchangeable or interchangeable resource. So when they fire you, they replace you with another you. But because you are not 10 to 20 to 30% of the resource they have to rely upon, it's okay for them to keep you at the 1% and consistently exchange you out. You see, ignoring the need to understand one another is also making us a pawn in the game that is being used against us. And so to end my rant, I want to give a shout out to the people in my community that are always looking for a way to collaborate. I spent a great conversation with, I wasn't going to name her, but I'm going to call it, with Nicole Reed, one of the best and most honest and transparent realtors in a very crowded industry. And we had a productive 3-hour meeting. I hate meetings. I loved every minute of this meeting with this sister because the collaboration and the commiseration was there. We could understand where our successes come from. We could also see where the potential roadblocks are, and we want to acknowledge that for one another and then collaborate to remove it for others. So my willingness to I'm not sitting back and saying, well, she got more money than me. Sis does. She definitely does. She's out there in a world that she has worked hard to have it in that real estate space. I'm not sitting back worrying about her making more. I'm sitting back to look and see how I can help be the catalyst to her having more. And then in turn, how I can take that and sew it back to my community, because I believe she will do the same, not just for me, but for the other people that need collaboration and commiseration, for the other people that need understanding and complementary behaviors. It's important. It's important. Shout out to Michelle Wilson. I shout her out because anytime there's an opportunity, it doesn't have to be me. Anytime I've seen her launch black men, launch them. There's a black man walking around right now that needs to give her full props for the amount of labor she was willing to do. And that's emotional, mental, and physical, to promote his cause, because she could commiserate with his positioning and therefore was willing to collaborate to move him forward. I challenge you, community of people who are listening, and I challenge you, allies out there. If you have been using that word because it's all of a sudden popular, and you've been saying you are an ally to Black people in the Black community, then you have to start commiserating in order to collaborate. You have to sit down and listen to the people in the room that understand the problem, that are experiencing the problem, that are living through it. You can't sit in the room looking for a reason to say not all. Check your demographic. Check your demographic. Yeah, not all of you, but the majority is enough for you to check your demographic. Like I'm checking mine right now. Not all Black people don't commiserate and collaborate, but enough of us don't for me to check you. Not all white women support the patriarchy that wants to steal rights from people. Not all white women are excited to allow a lot of oppression for other people, since there's only a little bit for them, but there's enough for you who do. And since you don't commiserate with the people who are going to experience the oppression, or you are too busy saying, well, I not me, I voted blue, you're missing the opportunity to properly collaborate. And so in that spirit, I challenge us going forward. A new year is coming. Every year, everybody makes promises and commitments and things like that. I'm actually going to have 2 free webinars at the end in November and December before you start the new year. One of them is called Sis, It's a Lie. You are not an imposter. And I want you to sit in on this and recognize that imposter syndrome is not a thing that you need to subscribe to. And the minute you reject it is the minute you're able to better collaborate. It's also the moment that you start to hold the people accountable in the room that you've been saying you're not sure you belong with. I'm going to teach you a little something so that you can elevate beyond this mindset of imposter syndrome, which, by the way, was created to explain away your oppression. We'll deal with that later. That's coming up. It's going to be on my page. I'm sure Marcus will be happy to share it. And the other thing that we're going to be doing is talking about empowerment as a con. so that we learn how to put action behind things and not promises. Collaboration requires activity. If I want my brotherhood to do better, I have to collaborate with them. I also have to commiserate and occasionally and always listen. And even when I don't agree, I have to be willing to hear. Same thing with my sisterhood. You ain't perfect. None of us are. If I want to be able to collaborate with you, I've got to commiserate with your viewpoint. You got to commiserate with, you got to be willing to hear. And then we have to be willing to collaborate to move things forward. So again, shout out to those who are seeing that need. I hear John offer opportunities for collaboration. Marcus himself is the epitome of collaboration and the willingness to commiserate by providing a platform for you to be able to speak out even when he does not agree. If you could take the spirit of those two words into 2023, I think we'll see the change in our community that will not or will no longer require us to go and live in the world of vibranium in our mental to feel like we're better when we could actually be doing better right here in the land of sand and earth. And that's my rant.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Net Radio. We got a comment in from our sister Lady of Purpose, Lady of Promise. I'm sorry, my apologies. Lady of Promise, Mel B. Is it really? Yeah, peace to your family. She says, how many more black millionaires and entertainers separate themselves from their blackness? Air quotes. There were times when black entertainers would speak on the issues of the race disparities in this country unapologetically. No, they don't owe us anything, and I don't need them to speak my story, but they do have a voice that can speak volumes. Lady of Promise, Mel B, you said a mouthful. We got so much love for it. We appreciate it. Yeah.
And drop your that's my cousin. She has her own radio show, her own
Yeah.
digital show.
Yeah.
Drop it there.
Same place that you
support the other B
cross
in the
mingle.
family.
You gonna cross mingle?
Yes, bring us
Yeah.
all together. Collaboration and commiseration.
Yeah. Jay Grizzly says, "Okay, Steph B, let's commiserate."
Entanglements.
Thank you.
And he spelled it
Grizzy.
wrong.
Positive
He knew he was going to
entanglements.
spell it wrong, but he said, "Let's commiserate." So
Yeah.
let's get it.
Grizzy.
Yeah.
Grizzy being serious?
No.
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 A little bit.
I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, he is.
I
Yeah,
like it.
But he's making it funny though.
He
Yeah,
made it fun.
and-
That's his thing. I
That's his
like
thing. You
it.
know, hashtag Marcus J live from
Light skinned Larry.
New Day.
And they say light skinned Larry Targaryen.
Yeah. You know, hashtag Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy in that radio. All right, so I'm gonna close this out with my own rant, my own closing. It's two pronged, but one purpose. It's really about November 10th, 2022. November 10th, 2022 was an awesome day for me. My rant will be about that day. That day, I woke up in Richmond, Virginia. I got in my car and I drove to New Jersey. I spent a day with my mother and my father. And then I spent the next few hours with my older brother and my younger sister. And it was awesome. You know, I've been in Richmond, Virginia for 30 years. When I left here, my sister was 12. And my brother was 24. She turned 13 a few weeks later. And in the last 30 years, obviously, we've spent time together. We've seen each other. We've loved on each other. We've had a bunch of kids between the three of us. But one thing we have never done was hang out. We ain't never hung out. The three of us, just the three of us. And so the plan was for my older brother, my younger sister, and me to hang out together. And we had been trying to put together a plan to do that for a long time, many years. COVID kind of fucked it up for us. But then there was Apple Brown Betty. And for those of you who may have seen the name in social media, maybe you saw her guest on this show in the last few months. Let me say, to quote Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce her to you. Apple Brown Betty was known as the drunk auntie when she was a part of Legacy Internet Radio. When she came into the den in the summer of 2019, the first time she sat across the table from me, I knew that she was a star, and I told her. And she'll tell you the story. She's told the crew the story. She's told it, and I've told it. I knew she was a star, and it was so cool because her humility is one of her greatest qualities. She's so humble, and when you meet a great talent and they exude humility, for me, it kind of skyrockets the talent. So you throw in the pride that I felt just to hang out with my older brother and my younger sister, just being with them. Like, we could have gone to Croker Spot or the Clam Bar. I just shouted out Richmond and Jersey City. We could have gone to Croker Spot or the Clam Bar, and I would have been good with it. But we got to go to the world famous Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York, to see someone who came through Legacy Internet Radio. Now, if you know me, you know that I try to be kind of humble with my own, but when it's y'all, I'ma celebrate y'all. I just am. I'm gonna celebrate y'all. And so if I was a lot, if I was extra, if I was overbearing in my social media, so what? I don't care. Cause I love our sister. And if you don't, you will. Because she dope. And she graced the stage, the Apollo Theater, and was real dope. She showed the world why I already said here locally that she was a star. She was poignant. She was spot on. She was honest. She was raw. And she was humble. And I, knowing her, marveled at how she told her own story, honestly. And the Harlem crowd, a harsh crowd, loved her, cheered for her. And you can see it on her face. And I was very happy to look over at my older brother and my younger sister and to see that they was cheering too. They agreed. They were happy to be there. They were happy to be with each other and me, but they were happy to be in the midst of greatness. And there were other really, really, really great comics that were on the stage that night, but I'm here tonight to talk about ours. She's ours. You know what I mean? Now, her greatness preceded her time at Legacy and at Radio. She came here already great. When I told her the first time I met her that she was a rock star, she was already a rock star. She already knew I was learning. That was when I jumped on that bandwagon. And on November 10th, 2022, the folks at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York, they jumped on it too, including my older brother and my younger sister. So I want to say peace to the three of them, Apple Brown Betty, Little Sister, and Big Bro, for being a part of one of my favorite weekends, one of the greatest times that I've had in quite a while. And I was very excited to share it with them and because of them. And I'll leave it there. Ain't no more I can say on that. I'll just leave it right there. This rant was all about love. And I appreciate it. Love to John. Love to Steph. Love to you. That's the Murr. Marcus's unrelated rant ain't got nothing to do with here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. Want to remind everybody that independence is, in fact, the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares and the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who was singing in the background, but the song just went off. Authenticity has no competition. I want you to be peaceful. I want you to have love. I want you to keep it 100 with everybody that you come across. Ain't no half step with Marcus J live from New Den Legacy in their radio. We'll be back right here in the future. Love y'all. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. I'm about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, we full force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.